were able to do today was allow people to see his heart for themselves and to make up their own minds about him. And they find out that he's not the person that the media has depicted him to be.
Are you endorsing it?
I support Donald Trump, and everybody knows 100%.
All right, Donald, we've got some questions for you.
Hi, Mr. Trump, you've done great things in your life, and I just wonder, how do I, as an average person, begin?
Well, first of all, never think of yourself as average. You started off with the wrong question because you're not average. You've got a lot going. I see you're smart. I see you're very beautiful.
I know Donald forever. I like Donald very much.
Wonderful guy. I mean,
he is.
And he's miscast by the media. You know that.
I like Donald. He's got an enormous ego, but he's a good guy. He's got a big heart, by the way. He's very good to people. He's very kind to people.
People don't know that.
You just have to get that word average out of your vocabulary, and you have to tell yourself that you're great, and you have to believe it. If you can say it and don't believe it, it doesn't matter.
A kid that worked in the back.
Right.
I said, well, hey, how is Donald Trump? This is before he ran. This is months ago. He goes, unbelievable. He would come back to the kitchen and give $100 to the staff.
Yeah.
He would give these guys quietly. Nobody would know about that.
The fact is, I go down the streets of New York, and the people that really like me are the taxi drivers and the workers, et cetera, et cetera.
Also, his children. I know his son, Eric. I've met him a couple of times. He's a great kid.
They're great kids.
They're great kids.
Yeah.
You know, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
Do you like him?
Yeah, I mean, he's real. That's all we need.
I like his ideas. Those are real letters. Those are not corporate letters. Those are not letters from Exxon.
These are handwritten.
Those are not letters from General Motors. Those are letters from people. You have to have heart. You have to take care of women's health issues. You have to take care of poor people that they're never going to have a shot. And you have to take care of African-American youth who have never been in a worse position than they are right now.
This sounds like political presidential talk to me. And I know people have talked to you about whether or not you want to run. Would you ever?
I just probably wouldn't do it, Oprah. I probably wouldn't, but I do get tired of seeing what's happening with this country. And if it got so bad, I would never want to rule it out totally.
I think Donald Trump, underneath it all, isn't just a business guy. I think he loves America. I really do. I think he cares.
This country has such potential. I love the country. I think we can make it better than ever before. We have to unleash it. People have lost their spirit.
Donald Trump represents truth, logic, and common sense.
His incentive and his self-interest is tied to the well-being of the country that he's supposed to represent.
They love me, I love them. And I'll tell you something, if I get the nomination, I'll win the Latino vote. I will win it because I'm going to create jobs.
I'm Hispanic and I vote for Mr. Trump. We vote for Mr. Trump. Get behind the candidate, Mr. Donald Trump, that's going to do something for you. Yeah. That's going to give you a hand up instead of a handout, baby.
A lot of things that he said is true.
Wow.
The Mexican border. And,
you're Hispanic and you're saying that. Are you sure? Wow.
I know what Donald Trump is doing is representing the absolute heartbreak and anger and frustration at a government gone mad.
I guess I just wanted to find out if there was one thing that you wanted people to remember about Donald Trump. What is it?
Never, ever give up.
The power of positive thinking, and I think that's very much in Donald's makeup.
If I become president, I couldn't care less about my company. I want to use that same up here, whatever it may be, to make America rich again and to make America great again.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am officially running for President of the United States, and we are going to make our country great again.
Do not underestimate the power of Donald Trump, or you will be scratching your head wondering, how did he get the Republican nomination? And we will see the best debate in history. Hillary Rodham Clinton, Donald J. Trump.
We are here to stay. Donald Trump all the way.
Donald Trump has came up with some very strict immigration laws that would guarantee work in the African American community.
I hope he gets through with his intentions about building the wall.
Well, I just want to let everybody know that
Not all Latinos are blind.
He knows what money is, where it comes from, and how to make more of it rather than redistributing other people's in exchange for their vote.
And the intensity with Trump is like nothing I've seen since I was a little kid and Reagan was running. And they were saying this is America's last shot.
If we don't get it right this time, we're not going to have a country left, folks. We're not going to have a country.
Are we seriously trying to figure out whether or not Donald Trump would make a good president? The man has major skills that he can offer.
This country right now owes $19 trillion, and they need somebody like me to straighten out that mess.
Honestly, I really think voters and Americans are looking at this guy saying, it's refreshing to hear somebody not be a wuss, not be a politician, and really say what they think.
These aren't dumb people. These are American patriots, and they want this country turned around.
I don't want nuance. I want bold colors, red, white, and blue. America, I have seen in the last several decades, absolutely fray and decline. When I saw those guys on the boats, on their knees, I mean, that says a picture about America that I haven't seen ever before. Democrats, not one or two, but many, are voting for Donald Trump, as well as Republicans. I've seen this all over the place. So I think there's a big movement happening, and I got to say that, you know, we need him.
You know, this is a movement, folks. This is not like even maybe about me. I don't want it to be about me. This is about common sense. It's about doing the right thing.
The silent majority is back, and we're going to take the country back.
I have a big heart. I'm going to take care of people. I'm going to make sure that this country comes first. We don't come first. We don't come 10th. We take care of everyone else but our own, and that's going to change.
We're going to become rich again. We're going to become safe again. And we're going to become strong again.
Nothing is wrong with us. We don't have to like illegal aliens. We don't have to. We're Americans. We want Americans first. Why can't we be first?
We are ready for a change. We are ready, and our troops deserve the best.
And in the Middle East, I guess we've spent $5 trillion. We could have rebuilt our bridges, our tunnels, our roads, our hospitals, our airports. We could have rebuilt our country. We could have rebuilt our military. We could have taken care of Social Security. We could have taken care of everything.
We are going to win so much. We're going to have win after win after win. You people are going to get sick and tired of winning. You're going to say, please, please, President Trump, we can't take this much victory. Please stop. We don't want any more wins. And I'm going to say to you, we're going to win. I don't care what you say. We're going to make our country great again. We're going to win. We're going to win. And we're going to win.
First of all, I've come to know Donald Trump over the last few years. He is actually a very intelligent man who cares deeply about America. There are two different Donald Trumps. There's the one you see on the stage, and there's the one who's very cerebral, sits there and considers things very carefully. You can have a very good conversation with him. And that's the Donald Trump that you're going to start seeing more and more of right now.
From the Smyth Radio Studios, it's Carrie and Brian Smith. This is Smyth Radio. You can tweet at Smyth Radio, SMYTH Radio. And now, your host, Carrie and Brian Smith.
Good evening, guys. It's Carrie Smith. Let me make sure we get the volume
and Brian
right.
Smith. We got a lot of great stuff for you today. Sorry about the video portion of the show. I am working on it desperately. Had a last-minute glitch. It happens, folks. New internet stuff. I don't know. So while I fix that,
I think it's the right or the left. The left is getting it to us. The deep state, they are after us. But that's okay. We have a great show in store for you. Let me get my volume here right. All right. So today we are going to be talking about the WalkAwayMarch, and we're going to have a special guest, Magdalene Rose, who you may or may not have heard of. She's actually a new person for me, and we will be talking to her in a little bit. And the thing about this WalkAwayMarch is, I think this is something totally new and different. I don't remember in my entire lifetime that we've had, there's marches for all these different causes, all these different these things that K Street are trying to push for, whether it's banning guns or making abortion legal or illegal or whatever it may be. But this is different. When have you ever heard of a movement of one side of the aisle moving to the other? I think that this is going to be awesome. The WalkAwayMarch is in a couple of weeks, and I don't know if Brian's going to be there. We're both still trying to get there. Yeah. I think I'm going. Are you committed?
Yeah, we got them.
All right, so we're both committed, and just got a phone call from my sister, who said, I don't really like to be that person that invites themselves to the party, but you mind if I cruise with? So Melissa Smith might be coming.
Are you for real?
She wants to come to this thing, and she's the type of person, I'll tell you what, I'll have to ask her what her background is, but it wouldn't surprise me to learn that she probably had some left-leaning ideology back in the day. So she has her own #WalkAway story. And there's going to be a lot of speakers there that are going to be telling their story, and I'm just excited to be there. So I'll be in Washington, D.C. Do you know the exact date, Brian?
26th, 7th, and 8th.
26th, 3-day event. We'll be there for at least one whole day, and, we got family stuff, business stuff. We'll be getting back shortly, but I'm planning on trying to be there the whole Saturday. Does that sound about right for you?
Yeah, I'm thinking the whole Saturday, and then possibly come back leave Sunday morning early. Leave Sunday morning.
Whenever, yeah, something like that.
If we can't do the show Sunday night, we'll wing it. We've done it before.
Yeah, I don't think it won't be a problem. But we'll make it work, and we'll get out there and show our faces, and it'll be a lot of fun.
Right. So check this out, folks. We got a lot of incredible information with the show today. We've got everything from the left-leaning, everything from all of the media going straight total racist. And for those of you on the video, we got a new MAGA hat here.
Where'd that come from?
That came from the Trump rally.
Oh, cool. What is it?
They were $25.
Oh, is it the real one?
Yeah, $25. I had to get it. It's the ugliest hat there ever was, but it symbolizes unity.
No, I don't know. I don't know if Kanye West custom made his hat, but there's something about it, man.
They had different versions.
Okay.
They had the trucker style, they had the rounded ball cap style, and the fitted style. But if you're really all in on the MAGA, you got to get the ugly trucker style.
Oh, yeah. Where it doesn't quite fit on your head right, and it kind of collapsed like a rotting potato.
Right, and the top is wider than the bottom, and you're like...
Right. And it can't be nice and round. I notice a lot of people that wear the basketball hats, they still have the label on them. And,
yeah.
Well, people that like that look... It's gotta look like it is brand spanking new from the factory. Like they went onto the factory floor and delicately picked it up and placed it on their head. Not the MAGA hat.
No, not the MAGA.
The MAGA hat has to look like it was poorly fitted. I mean, it's part of the charm, right? It's the charm of the MAGA.
It's deplorable. It's just Anytown USA, All American, kind of whatever, man. It's just come as you are. That's the party. Right. Come as you are. So we'll get into that. Folks, if it is not clear now, I don't know what it's going to take to make it clear that the left is full-blown racist. We've always known it, but now they've gone full-blown racist on Kanye West for being a black man. Literally calling out his skin color. And I did a scope earlier this week. I'm a brown. I'm kind of more of a brown guy.
Ken Ham of Kentucky, Northern Kentucky, pretty much Cincinnati area, greater Cincinnati area. He's the founder of the Creation Museum.
Yes.
And he did a great video. I shared it on Facebook a couple of months ago maybe, where he talks about, basically he said, am I white? And he held up a white sheet of paper next to his skin and said, well, this is white. Does my skin look white? And he said, you could do that with somebody who the left calls, these are my words, that the left calls black, and hold up a black sheet of paper. And, what happened to my volume here? Okay. Hold up a black sheet of paper and against what the left calls a black person and say, does this look black to you? And of course they wouldn't either. So we're all shades of brown, lighter shades, darker shades, whatever.
Yeah. And so I'm a light-skinned brown guy. Mm-hmm. And we have good friends who are dark-skinned brown folks. And apparently Kanye West thinking on his own is not acceptable, not allowed. And they full-blown racist, and they used some very bad words. I've got the video clips. Mark Dice did a thing on it, and it's pretty hysterical. We'll get to that. And so it's a hashtag WalkAway movement, and like we said, our guest Rose will be on here, and just shortly she's going to talk about her situation and where she's from. We've got a lot of questions to ask her. You guys will be shocked, pleasantly surprised to see this younger generation. I'm beside myself. I am so thrilled.
High school people who are talking about conservative ideology.
Right.
And I don't know, it's fascinating for somebody like me to watch the dynamic and compare it to the way people that age, decades ago, were talking about their ideology. And there are some similarities, believe it or not. Even though a couple decades ago, somebody that age would be speaking about how they can't believe that anybody would want to be a Republican. And you would think, well, they're polar opposites. But actually, there's some similarities there, because the right movement, the new right movement, I guess we could call it, is different than what it was several years ago. And I'm actually excited about it, even though I had been on the right since 2000 roughly. This is more of what I expect a perfect or more perfect ideology to be. So I'm really happy about it.
Yeah, no, I'm enthused about it. There's a guy out of Texas who bought a billboard sign, and I'll show that to you a little bit later on. Billboard sign, ABC News, I grew up with you. We are through. The Russians didn't elect Donald Trump. I did. Kyle Courtney out of Texas, pretty fired up. So you got, when you see things like that, folks, you got to get excited about what's going on. And it's something I want to make this show all about. I want you guys to understand, because I've been getting a lot of messages, either text or group messages, and I've been seeing a lot of tweets out there. Folks, do not feed into the anger, the hate, the vitriol. Don't get sucked in. Don't be like, Brian, I'm just so wrapped up. I can't take it. They're making me mad. I'm getting mad. I'm getting anxious. Whatever it is, folks, you gotta let this go.
Well, I had somebody try to fight me on Friday, and you just gotta, when you're on the side of righteousness.
Yes.
And I mean that a lot of people hear that word righteousness and they think it's a bad word, but no, it just means that you are in the right. And I, stood my ground and didn't back down. And when he tried to fight me, I said, "Oh, so you want to get violent? Is that how it is? You just want to get violent? You need to do something about that. You need to get your mind right, because this violence thing is not working out."
Oh, you're talking about old boy. The guy was 80. Your dad told me he was like 80 plus years old.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't that scary because of his age. Like, I really felt like if he did try something on me, he might actually have a heart attack right then and there. So I wasn't too concerned. But think about it. Number one, if it wasn't me, I am a Marine Corps veteran. who spent their entire childhood all the way up through high school wrestling, and then after getting out of the Marine Corps, spending 20 years, about 17, 18 years, coaching wrestling. Yeah. And I mean literally out there with some of the top high school wrestlers in the land, like training them physically, like with them. And so what ends up happening is, after so many years, you realize, I'm not really scared of anybody anymore.
Well, other than having Ruger with you, there's nothing like having Kerry. You know.
So I'm trying to. Now that's another thing. He could be armed, and he was very emotional, very, very emotional. But because I stayed calm the whole time, I'd be pretty surprised. He didn't seem like like he was so crazy that he was willing to go to prison for the rest of his life, even though there's not much left. As an 80-year-old.
I had a when we lived out in Los Angeles, I had a neighbor. I don't even know his name to this day. He's from Cuba. And he absolutely praises Castro, or he did. He used to praise Castro and what the regime had done. And I refer to him as Cuban communist. And I would get home. I'd pull up in my truck, a construction work truck. I'd pull up. And he'd come right out of his door and start shooting. You listen to that Rush Limbaugh. I know you're listening to that Limbaugh.
So triggered.
He was hating on Bush, hating on Limbaugh. And I would say, but I said, come on, man. Limbaugh's my friend. Don't say stuff like that.
That's not nice. Bad about my friend. Oh my gosh.
So yeah, but anyways, there was anger back then, but they've really got it whipped up in a frenzy. We've got a lot of different stories to tell you about today. When we tell you about these stories of violence, folks, don't let it affect you in a violent way, like I'm going to get back at him. No.
You just turn the mirror on him.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
what I did to this guy.
Yeah.
I told him, I said, oh, you want to resort to violence. I looked at him and I said, you can't use your brain. You have to use muscles. Is that what this is? And he was like, no, I can use my brain. And all of a sudden he got really defensive. And I was just like, yeah, sure.
So sad.
Try it then sometime.
And look at these instances and realize, folks, the reason why this is happening is because we're winning. We're winning. And there's an article that was written, Trump's list 289 accomplishments in 20 months, relentless promise keeping.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to go through each and every one of the 289 accomplishments. No, I'm just joking, folks. I'll briefly skim over. They got them sectioned off in like 10 different sections. We'll just section them off just so you refresh your mind on all the different areas that Donald Trump is hitting on all cylinders. Charlie Kirk put out a tweet past couple of days and said, oh my goodness, looking at what Donald Trump has done in 20 months, what the hell are all these presidents doing in the last 20 years?
Yeah, I always wondered that. For years, I was like, man, is government really this broken to where like things just can't get done in a reasonable amount of time? And big fixes, the big ones, just are not going to happen in our government. And then Trump comes along, and even before he got elected, I remember thinking that there might be hope that somebody who actually has pragmatism as like the main, like a main thing about their character is that they get stuff done. Oh, you can't get that ice rink done? The city can't get the ice rink done for under budget, in time, or anything like that. Boom, let me snap my fingers. I'll put my own money into it. A couple months later, the thing's ready, done, and up and running.
Mike Tyson's venue for a fight fell through. Oh, you need a place, Tyson? You need that?
Yeah.
I got that, buddy.
That was the Michael Spinks fight, and that was in Atlantic City. And at the time, they had something fall through. I guess it was a venue that fell through, and he said, hey, we'll just have it in Atlantic City. Trump did that.
No worries.
Yeah.
So we got that. We got Andrew Brunson. Folks, this is big news. Donald Trump has secured the release of 19 hostages in 20 months. Pastor Andrew Brunson, imprisoned in Turkey for speaking about Jesus Christ. And I mean, it's kind of rough. I mean, you got to look at where you're at. You're in Turkey. It's Muslim. They're pushing for Sharia law. It's a bad place to be at if you're a Christian. But he's outspoken about Christ and Christianity, and imprisoned. And Donald Trump secured his release. He's back here. his prayer, he prayed. He asked Trump, "Can I pray over you?" And Trump's like, "Yeah, sure, man." So I got the clip of that. I played it for myself 3 or 4 different times. It's kind of short when it comes to pastors, famous pastors and famous prayers. A lot of times they can be extended and long. But anyway, this really good. If you haven't heard it yet, it'll if it doesn't bring a tear, it'll definitely choke you up. So we'll talk about that. The Clintons are in the news again today. Juanita Broaddrick retweeting out a Breitbart article. There's another woman who was back in the day violated and accosted by Bill Clinton. Yeah, so that one's out. Breitbart News did a one-on-one exclusive interview with the victim. Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton slated for a nationwide speaking tour.
Okay.
And a lot of people got triggered, like, no. I'm like, yes.
I can't imagine that after watching 2 years of Hillary Clinton not only unable to attend very many of these events, that she was supposed to do a rally for the Democrat nominee herself,
right,
but also the shockingly low numbers that would turn out to this thing. Now, I will admit, you can't forget this, Brian. Bill Clinton was the star.
Yeah, yes.
She was thinking she was the star because she was the first lady of the Star. Now, I mean, I don't know. You got Jackie Onassis, who was a big star. Michael Obama.
You know who I think? Whenever I think of that combo situation,
Yeah.
it's kind of sad, but it's been a long time, so it's not too soon.
Yeah.
And I really do mean it. Is Phil Hartman and his wife.
Oh, okay.
Phil Hartman was not, he was a comedian, a cut-up kind of guy, but wasn't a famous Hollywood type, but his wife was striving to be a famous Hollywood type. And what had happened was he struck gold because he was hysterical. Phil Hartman was absolutely hysterical on SNL and some of the other shows that he did. I think it was Talk Radio.
I can't remember what movies he was in, but I know he played supporting roles.
And he was a phenomenal supporter, so much so that his wife became enraged with jealousy over his fame and killed him.
Yeah, that's hugely tragic.
So, and I think about that with Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton, because Hillary's not likable, and apparently Phil Hartman's wife was not likable, pent up with all that kind of anger and whatnot.
Right.
And Bill Clinton, this happy-go-lucky rapist, no big deal. And Phil Hartman, just a really happy-go-lucky, awesome guy. So that's what I think of when I think of Bill and Hillary. She's pent up with all this anger and aggression. So let it be her first speaking engagement. And what happens? Take a gander.
So there was already the first one.
Yeah. Guess what it started off with? I mean, with her speaking, what was the first thing that happened?
It could go a million different ways. I don't know. She was coughing again?
She had a fit of cough. It just begins, and they were screaming for somebody in a cup of water.
Oh, gosh.
So
she's not well.
So bring it on. Bring it on.
Oh, gosh.
We'll talk about that. Fox News. Fox News interviewed Trump on. He was on the phone, and they showed up photos of possible contenders for 2020. They're already speaking of 2020, folks. You know why? 2018 is going to be a slam dunk. It's going to be done. Moving right along. Democrats got to get ready.
We have to have a victory party.
Oh, yes, we will. Yes, we will. So they asked Trump about 2020, and Trump makes comment on multiple choices. And they asked him, who do you fear most? And he's like, fear? Bring them all on. I love every one of them that's running. Sure, bring it. So we'll get into that. Big news of the week, Rod Rosenstein. The show notes kind of start out with the early part of Rod Rosenstein of the week, and then the big bombshell that broke on Thursday. So we'll talk about the Rosenstein, the deep state, and James Okeefe came out with some more video this week. Folks, this is just unbelievable what new news media is doing. We're talking about it. We're reporting on it.
Yeah.
James Okeefe is in the trenches.
He's the guy, the news originator. So,
Right.
which is rare. We're down to, I think you can count how many people are on the ground doing this on one hand.
Yeah, no,
which is really
absolutely
scary.
And so we talked about the Trump prophecies the past couple times, and during the video, the Trump prophecies, the firefighter made comment that he prophesied, God spoke to him and said, the media will start to report Trump correctly and believe Trump. And when he said that, no, knee jerk. I said, you're right. Because it's the new news media he was talking about.
Oh, I see. So it's not really that the news that you know of as fake and lying will finally come around and say, you know what, guys, this lying, fake stuff is not working. Our fake narrative, people aren't buying it anymore. We're losing ratings. We need to turn over a new leaf. That's what I was thinking, but that's not going to happen.
Just like in Greek mythology and just like with God, the prophecy, and in Greek mythology, the oracle, but with Christ and God, the prophecy is never clear, but it's always right. And so in Greek mythology and writing, they would literally write that so that it was never clear, but it was always right at the end. That's how God works in mysterious ways. Originally, the Trump prophecies, he believed that it was for Mitt Romney, it was for something else. He wasn't clear on what it was, and come to find out, once he saw Trump, that was it. So I'm telling you, there's always a twist to this, and you see it in the end, because hindsight is what, Carrie?
2020?
50-50, baby.
God.
It's always 50-50.
So it's better than 2020.
Oh,
it's
yes. It's higher. It's much, much higher.
Oh, my gosh.
So, well, as we wait, we got 4 minutes before our special guest comes on. As we wait for her to log in, if you will. Real quick, last Monday, 6 days ago, happy Columbus Day to y'all. And if you have a Trump 2018 calendar, you would have known, because when you flip to the month, there's a stone statue in D.C. of Columbus overlooking D.C. as if and pointing, because that's kind of the image that you get of him. And I found a stock photo of Trump doing the similar pose.
Yeah.
To put,
Our Patreon's got that, right? The Patreon.com/SmithRadio. Last year, they got the 2018 calendar, which I'll tell you what, Brian put it all together, and I was shocked. I was thinking, okay, hopefully it's presentable. I have never, I buy a calendar every single year from like the store, the mall, or whatever. I have never seen a calendar of that quality. No. It looked like actual photographs on every single month. And it was perfect. The themes were all there. It was great. So I feel like we need to put together a 2019 calendar. What do you think?
Absolutely.
Right. But make sure you go to patreon.com/SmithRadio. It's SMYTHRADIO, and become one of our Patreons and join our groups. And it's a lot of fun. It's like a MAGA party 24/7. Definitely get there. And you can also talk to us directly through the text group.
And the calendars were expensive. We didn't make anything on them whatsoever.
We just wanted people to have them.
To get it out there. And all that I put in sprinkled throughout the whole calendar were special dates to remember that were real dates. Like one of them, one of our Patreons, Bill, he text messages the group, "Oh my goodness, thank goodness for my calendar, because today is Ramadan. And it says, infidels beware." So give you a heads up for the whole month of Ramadan.
That could save somebody's life.
Yes, and then Ramadan ends. That date was in there so you can relax.
So you can put the guard down a little bit.
Maybe
take a vacation. Yes. Be good to go.
So Columbus Day, folks. I started saying Columbus Day, happy Columbus Day to everybody at work. And what did I get? Oh, I got a lot of hate.
Really?
A lot of anger, a lot of hate, especially from one specific woman who seems to be an all-around American, good-hearted, no big deal with Trump, conservative kind of thing. Much hate for Columbus. He's racist, bigot, sexist, homophobe. She claimed, and I have no proof of this, she claimed that he would imprison men and physically beat them and then physically sexually assault them. It was just everything under the sun about this woman. And the only reason why I bring it up is because I just want to throw this out to you, Carrie. We celebrate Columbus Day for his ability to hold to the vision, to find something out there as an explorer. That must have been just unbelievable for months and months and months to see no land whatsoever with the attempt of hitting the West Indies, but landed in, what is now known as the Caribbean.
Mm-hmm.
And if you follow PragerU, Crowder, Louder with Crowder, Steve Crowder did a PragerU on Columbus. Something I didn't know. You know, the Caribbeans is named for the indigenous people that lived there that were cannibals.
Oh, that's right. I did see that episode too. And if you're not following PragerU on YouTube, you should definitely do that. That's one. People ask me actually, Brian, where do you guys get your info from? Who are you watching? Who are you following? There's one right there, PragerU, 100%.
Yep, and Dinesh D'Souza with his. This guy knows more about American history than I'll ever know. And so as we get ready for our guest, Rose, I'm having trouble pronouncing her first name. Can you help me out with that?
Magdalene.
Magdalene? Okay, while we bring her on in just 1 second, I'm going to play the pinned video clip of her from her Twitter page, just so you guys can get kind of a heads up of who she is and where she's coming from. So, and we'll do the unmute and then hit the play.
Young Democrats, I have a message to you from a young conservative. You are the most lied to political group in this country. You're lied to by politicians, by Hollywood, and by academia. And the reason why is each one of those things has something to gain from lying to you. Hollywood will never have to explain why their actresses and actors make $15 million in films. Academia will never have to explain why they get speaking fees that can go up to $5 million, or they get $500,000 to teach a class on humanities. And most of all, Democrat politicians will never have to explain the fact that they've done absolutely nothing for your generation, and literally everything else they've done has either bankrupted your generation or destroyed the social fabric of it. It's ridiculous. And I know as a young conservative, we're not going to agree on a lot of things. That's fine. But we have to start to understand between each other that there is a bunch of lying going on, and it's coming from one main party. Ask yourself, young Democrats, how are you saddled with $1.3 trillion in student debt that hasn't even been called in yet when Obama was president for 8 years? How are you on average taking out about $37,000 in student loans when Obama was president for 8 years? Because the logic is that Obama was a great person for young people, but yet your main problem was never addressed. In fact, it was pushed further and further because he added more debt than any other president. You've gotten nothing from Democrats, and you've gotten nothing at an even bigger level, because now you're perceived as being crazy people because news people, Republicans, older conservatives think all of you are the crazy people in the mobs. That might not be true, but at this point, I don't even know. It's time for young Democrats to really ask the question, how did Democrats make our generation look? Because from where I'm standing, Democrats make our generation look crazy and like we don't even understand what the Dow Jones is. Which, to be honest, a lot of us don't, because Democrats decided it was more important to spend 6 years in the War of 1812 than teach us anything about economics. Think about this. How many times have you all been laughed at for not knowing basic life skills? Well, Democrats in almost every state are the people who craft curriculum. And the Secretary of Education focused on making sure that all students were equal, but I guess that only meant equal in suffering. Young Democrats, please start to wake up.
Wow, what an incredible rant, if you will.
Thank you.
And welcome to the show. Welcome. I am pleasantly surprised we were able to grab you as quick as we could. So welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Do you have her on the? We're looking at. I have to alert Brian to make sure you get your video up. Okay, so we're good to go. All right.
Thank you so much for having me.
So you are going to be a speaker at the WalkAway March. Is that true?
Yes.
Awesome. Well, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
So is this the biggest event that you've ever been asked to do publicly, or?
I've never done an event before.
Oh my gosh.
Wow. Okay, I got to do this. I've been called out for doing this on other guests. I have to. My daughters were riveted by you speaking, so I have to ask you, like, Can you give me an age range that you're in?
18.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
Because every time Brian does that, he gets the look of death from whatever female we happen to be.
Well, I asked Brandon Struck. I asked him, and he got
mad.
He got mad.
Oh, he was so mad.
Well, luckily, I'm not that old yet to be that offended.
Okay.
Sweet.
Well, and Brian's my age, so I mean, how offended could we be, right? So anyway, great. So you're going to this march. So I decided to go ahead and research. The reason you're on our show today is because I'd never heard of you before, but one of our fans said you got to listen to this woman and you have to have her on your show. So I thought, well, let's check it out. And then I reached out to you and you agreed to come on, and that's great. So I thought, well, if I'm going to have her on, I better do some research on her. So I watched all your videos.
Oh, thank you. And thank you to your fan.
Yes, absolutely. And so I put together some questions for you to see if I could pick your brain. So the very first video and then a couple videos later, you talk about how you were pretty much a lifelong Republican or lifelong conservative, I guess you'd say.
Yeah.
Is that going to make it difficult for you when it comes to because you don't really have a WalkAway story personally? Is that going to make it a challenge for you to try to convince Democrats to come over? Because I noticed that like a lot of people at the WalkAway are like, this is my story. I was a Bernie Sanders supporter, or I voted for Barack Obama all these times. So what is your strategy going to be?
I don't think it'll make it difficult because I went to high school in Massachusetts during 2016. I'm from New York, so I understand liberal young people very well. And my argument, even to older conservatives, is you don't have to agree with all the social conservative parts or anything, but you have to understand how oppressed young conservatives are. And just sort of using that as an olive branch to reach out to say, we need help, or to older Democrats, this isn't what your party should be. Can you help us break down this barrier that's going on? And to younger Democrats, I don't think it's an issue because I've been with a lot of friends that are liberal. I understand that. And I understand the progression of being a young liberal. It starts out with a lot of social policies and then you hear the economics. So I think I'm able to break it down in which you can still agree with the liberal social policies, but maybe not the economic ones. I think I'll always be able to find some common ground.
So it's really about getting the facts out to them, really.
Yeah. Definitely.
So I can relate with that because I actually do have a WalkAway story. And to me, it was like, if you're going to use logic and you're going to use your brain, it seems like an argument can be made that almost every single policy from any different policy you could think of, the left kind of gets it wrong, or it doesn't work, or has a demonstrated history of failure, whereas the right seems to be a little bit more pragmatic and get it right and all that kind of stuff. So that's good. Are you nervous about having to speak? Oh, awesome.
No. I like talking.
So have you done speaking, like taken speaking classes, or have you debate class, or?
Oh, I was a debater in high school. I was the captain of my debate team. So I've always enjoyed talking. I think it's like you get a little nervous before then, but once you're up there, you kind of miss it as soon as you're down. Yeah. So I like talking.
No, I have a 10-year-old and a 9-year-old daughter, and both of them were absolutely enamored by your videos. And it's and a friend of ours, Katja Lee.
Do you know Katja?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, she said. Go ahead.
Yeah, she said to tell you that she loves you, and that her daughter, who I think she said she just turned 16. She said to name her Mackenzie.
Mackenzie
absolutely loves watching your videos and loves you to death.
Nice.
So that's.
See, I don't know how many young people watch them, because I know like a lot of people will watch things, especially if they're in more of a liberal world, and not like them or not retweet them. So that's always nice to hear.
Yeah, we'll have to make sure that we get her to just share every single one of them. Share. I'm sure she is. She's loving it. And so one thing that kind of surprised me, when I first saw you on the videos, I was like, okay, she seems kind of young, like maybe high schoolish. And then you started getting into European politics. And I've got a confession for everybody here. I think your understanding, like the nuanced understanding of European politics, and especially like the minute differences between conservatism in America and conservatism in Europe is beyond me. That's you went over my understanding. So I was wondering, like, where did that come from? Is it like because you're well read, or do you have like a mentor that's like, or did you visit Europe?
No. My dad is an immigrant from England, so he's always had a different understanding of political structures there. But I've always loved history. Like, there's this saying, you need to put 10,000 hours into whatever you do. I feel like I've already put my 10,000 hours in with research.
Wow. So you would consider yourself an outlier.
Yeah. So like when I'm able to go and talk or make a video, I put down bullet points, but I don't have to hit the books as much. And actually, European politics is so interesting, but obviously it can't be like the most important thing right now. But it's something that I think in the future after midterms we'll probably make more videos on.
Yeah, I was going to say I would highly encourage that, because even me, I mean, we're like basically spending the entire week researching so that we could do the show, but I'm way behind on where you are on the European politics. I almost feel like I'm going to reach out to you anytime something happens in Europe.
Oh, please do. I love talking about it.
We have a guy who follows us on Twitter that lives in Iran. Otherwise, I wouldn't know anything about Iran. That lives in Iran and literally sends almost every one of his videos, every one of his tweets to us so that we can stay posted on Iran and all the things that are going on over there. Because with the climate that we have, the political climate we have in America, where we literally thwarted a coup, the failed coup, everybody's wrapped up in this over here. And it's kind of difficult to. Sorry about that. Kind of difficult to. I mean, it's over the pond. It's kind of far away, and I feel there's a little bit of political apathy for European politics as it stands right now.
I think that's true, and I think what happens with European politics is that they will get to like a boiling point emotionally 2 years before we will. And it'll seep, and then they'll have a vote like with Brexit. Whereas with Americans, because we're so much of the silent majority, people will still be surprised at the ballot box. So with European politics, it's such a good indicator to see where America is going, to see what the political trends are. They had, populism and stuff way before we had it seeping in here with Trump. So it's always a good parameter for where America's going to go.
You said that, okay, so populism, I'm glad you brought that up. You say that it's a push for transparency and return to power of the state and reducing federal government to only essential functions. How do we combat the narrative of states' rights when we go down that road? It seems like I agree with you 100%. It's like the way America was founded was that the federal government was going to do these essential defense functions and some other things, and it was going to be just bare bones essential stuff, very tiny little thing, and that the states were going to act as their own countries, and we're just all going to be together in one nation, one United States is basically what it is. But now when you talk about states' rights or getting power back to the states, the left goes straight to, oh, you want slavery again? Oh, okay. Is that how do you combat that narrative?
Well, first of all, I think what's really interesting is the left is fighting more for states' rights right now than we are. I mean, you have California and New York exercising what they believe is their ability to make laws that are contrary to the Constitution. With in LA, in the LA City Council, they wanted people to register if they were an NRA member, if they wanted to be a city bidder for a contract. So you have to repackage what states' rights means. It means a return of power to people. It doesn't mean that you can make, gun grabbing laws, or you can say, we're just going to register everybody. You have to repackage it, and especially for young people. I think if you link it towards populism, young people will be much more receptive to it, just like they're more receptive with the left when they repackage things as socialism.
Wow. Just like you speak of California, this past week in the news, California has admitted to accidentally registering 15,000. Was it 15,000 or 100? I think it was 15,000 illegal immigrants. And I don't know if you know, they passed, back when I lived in L.A., they passed a law called motor voter law, where when you got your license, you also registered to vote. And now they passed other laws to where illegals can actually get driver's license. So it was a combination and so.
And they say that never happens. Like, the argument is always that never happens. And then it's like how Mark Zuckerberg says all of our stuff is secure, and then there's a data breach. It's just not true.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I've had a lot of people tell me that this stuff's not happening in LA, and I'm like, but Brian told me what was going on, because Brian lived there for 10 years, and he was actually, friends with people who actually was utilizing these services. These are government services.
Oh, I knew a lot of people that didn't have papers, and that I didn't call the guy. Oh, you're illegal. No, you see, you tienes papeles. You got papers, and that was the whole joke. It was the joke You could go to Huntington Park, which was up on Firestone Boulevard, that went east to west, and up there was an office. You pay $125. You get an ID card and a Social Security card. The name matched, and they put your picture in it, and you go get a job.
Yeah, and they say that doesn't happen, and they tell my generation that the young people who talk about that are racist, and it's so unfair because nothing about that is racist. People are like, well, you can't do that. You can't do that. These are literally our laws. I don't understand why this is controversial to anybody. So when Trump says stuff and people are like so up in arms, I'm like, it's literally on the books from at least President Clinton, at least that reason.
Right.
So
absolutely right.
You bring this up, so I'll ask this: are Democrats the party of your generation? And it's funny, or are they ruining your generation? I got this question from the video that you made that Democrats are ruining the generation. But like one thing I'd like to add to that question is it always seemed like every generation, because I'm older, so I've seen many generations come through, and it's like the youth. It's like the Democrats have this stranglehold on the youth. So what about your generation in particular?
Well, my generation is engaged in this current like lukewarm civil war. People have no idea how bad it is. Like people think that the people who protested for Occupy Wall Street are my generation. This is not true. My generation is the people who have made decisions in classes, and I've been with them, about writing an essay you really believe in or getting grade docked. So the Democrats have grade docked, where they take away they lower your grade because you did a conservative viewpoint.
What?
Oh yeah, that happens all the time. Every college student knows that, especially if you're like moderately conservative, they'll do that.
I had to drop a English Composition 102 because we had a SJW as a TA, and she wasn't having it. She marked up a paper totally red up from top to bottom. And the thing is when you're an English Composition TA, you're supposed to find grammar mistakes, or maybe even if you want to get really complicated, you could point out errors in logic. Maybe she was literally putting on there that I was wrong on certain opinions.
Oh,
yeah, and I was just like, oh my gosh, it's so bad.
So when Democrats have branded themselves as the party of young people. You have the March for Our Lives people. But what they've done to my generation is horrible. We can't talk to each other. We're so volatile. And the moderate people in the middle are no longer allowed to be moderate. So they're not the party of my generation. They're the party that's tried to take over my generation.
Wow. And they've already taken over a lot of the previous generations. And what I've tried to tell people, and I'll bring up a name of somebody that I hope it doesn't go south. But one thing I pointed out is they're taking every single generation. You know, you come up through the education system. You're the only one that seems to be on the right track with this that I've talked to, where you're really attacking the Department of Education and the curriculum and stuff like that, because I'm seeing people that are coming out and saying we're red pilling all these people. They're 19, 20, 21, 25, 29 years old, and we're red pilling them. And I'm like, you only had to red pill them because they were indoctrinated for 13 years in the Department of Education. So we went to St. Louis, was it 2-3 weeks ago, something like that? Yeah. And Charlie Kirk was there, and I saw in one of your early videos that he blocked you, and it sounds like a little bit, hopefully a misunderstanding. I told Charlie Kirk, I said, listen, I really think it's great what you're doing. You're taking action, and you're talking to people, and you're really hitting the ground. And he's taken people spilling stuff on him and getting shouted out of restaurants. So he's on the front lines and everything. But I told him point blank, right in front of a huge crowd, I got cheered, that everything that he's doing could be erased in 4, 5, 6, 10 years because he's not getting the next generation that's already being brainwashed. So he could red pill an entire generation, and everything that he did will be erased within one generation. And he's only 24, and which is remarkable for what he's done. And like you are only 18. You guys are both remarkable for what you're doing at this young age and what you've done so far in such a short time. Like I'm 42 years old, and it's like, man, I haven't even accomplished what they've accomplished, even close. But if they want to, it's like that age, and I'm shocked that you realize it. But at 24, for whatever reason, he's not seeing that the reason he's having to red pill these people is the same reason why my generation had to be red pilled. Yeah. And my mom and dad's generation, they were the hate Ashbury flower children.
John Kerry generation.
Woodstock. It was Woodstock and Vietnam and all that. They were totally indoctrinated back then, and they got red pilled many, many years later. Actually, my mom's still probably more or less, but my dad's totally red pilled, but he was a total leftist. So I got cheers and everything, but I told Charlie Kirk, I said, are you going to be able to make this a lasting change? Why aren't we attacking the Department of Education? That's what we need to do. And I didn't really like his response. It kind of made it sound like he didn't even agree with the premise.
Yeah,
So,
well, I can explain that for you.
Yeah,
the
sure,
problem is that my generation of young conservative and like 1 or 2 years older understands that the way that conservatives handled the Department of Education with hands off no longer works. And we are willing to break from this strict, no government oversight, strict, we don't infringe on anything way and go in and try to save this. And aside from the indoctrination, we have a huge problem with the fact that we're ranked really low in education and all of these countries are overtaking us. So the reason why there's so much conflict between my generation of young conservatives and people in like the 25 range is because they're very attached to this constitutional principle that we can't go in, we can't infringe, because if we do it, the Democrats will do it. Democrats
they've already done it.
How does he not see this? So that's where the conflict is.
Oh my gosh.
So we're trying to break that down. I know a lot of young conservatives too, my age, we're trying to say, look, guys, this isn't working anymore. Do what you're doing in colleges, but let us go in that 13 to 14 age group especially. Let us review the curriculum the Board of Ed is passing and try to save us from having to not red pill all these people.
So we have young elementary age school kids, and Brian here had it even worse probably. He was doing a Common Core, but it was through homeschooling, so we got to see the books and everything.
It was brutal. His
5-year-old daughter at the time, she's what, 10, 11
10
now?
yeah.
So this was 5 years ago. She had this book about, it was like civil rights, and it was about the Underground Railroad. And the story was that they had to escape to freedom.
Yeah, they had to
go north.
Follow the Big Dipper. The name of the book was Follow the Drinking Gourd, which was referred to as the Big Dipper.
Okay.
And as you follow the Big Dipper, you got to the Ohio River, crossed the river.
Right.
And then went all the way to Lake Erie to cross the lake to freedom in Canada.
Right. And we did a little research because we were like, wait, are they right about that?
Yeah. I was like, how many people went to Canada?
Come to find out, it was about 1.5% of all freed slaves went to Canada, which means that story is largely just made up.
It's made up. Most of it's made up.
Yeah, and it's indoctrinating the kids into believing that the only way to freedom is to get the hell out of America. Or United States of America. You get up to Canada. And so I think that people our generation, and maybe it almost seems like Gen X is the only one that's really seeing it. And even then I have to show them because they have children. And if they pay attention to what they're learning, they realize, oh my gosh, they're getting indoctrinated.
Good.
And then you get to the the younger adults that are in their early 20s, like Charlie Kirk and yourself, you're only 18, where you don't have children yet. You don't actually see what they're doing to the kids unless you recognize that it was happening to you, which I would say 99% of kids are not aware. I know when I was in school, I was not aware that what I was being taught could actually possibly be wrong.
Yeah.
When I was in school, I was literally prison, schools. It would have been identical. I found out that if I went,
we all felt that way. Like, can we just?
If I went to the health, the nurse, if I went down there to the nurse, and if I told her that I got sick in the bathroom, and oh no, you don't need to clean it up, that she would call my mom and immediately come get me.
Oh, so you utilize that? Huh?
I would do that at least a couple times a week. I was always sick.
So what's the story with the feud between you and Charlie? Was it a misunderstanding? Is it something that can be cleared up?
You remember when the March for Our Lives happened, like last March? March for Our Lives?
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I watched it all on TV because I knew that those kids, first of all, had a lot of debate coaching. I knew the debate system they were in. I know the people who debated against them. They're very, very good. And I was really worried that the young Republicans were not going to be able to combat this. So I watched everyone talk, and I said to Charlie several times, please, you have to do something more. This thing where you going into crowds and filming stupid liberal videos is not working. Please combat it more. Figure out some debate. And then I said to him, if you're not going to do this, you have to have somebody else do it. And we got into a thing, and he blocked me on Twitter.
Oh,
and then on Instagram, I have a lot of friends in Europe, and they're young conservatives, and I was watching all the live streams of people be beaten by Antifa and then shutting down little conservative gatherings. And I said to him, what is it going to take for you to stand up and see this as a problem? And in that time frame, Antifa had also tried to shut down one of his events. So I said, this is an international thing. And he blocked me on Instagram.
Oh gosh!
Wow! Right,
So,
and I agree. I agree with you. I absolutely agree with you.
Yeah, and I think that, and I actually listened to some of your direct criticisms of him in some of your videos, and it was kind of like a difference in tactic, I guess. And I look at it this way: we have so many people that are doing so much for the conservative movement that he doesn't have to do a different tactic. He can do what he does. We just need to find somebody else that will do a tactic that you would like to do if it's not you yourself. And so that's what I've learned. Like everybody's doing like their own thing. And I learned this from Mike Cernovich. I love the way he said this exact words. He said, "Stay in your lane."
Yes.
And if you stay in your lane, you don't have to drag anybody over to your lane, or you don't have to push them into another lane, and you don't have to step on anybody's toes, and you don't have to criticize them for whatever they're doing. But obviously, I have a policy, strict policy. If I could see that you're a Trump supporter, I am not blocking you.
Well, yeah. Well, not only that, but I think we've been doing this this is our 5th year doing this. The first few years was under Obama's reign of terror, and then we saw this movement starting to come up. We were involved with some of the folks, Jack Posobiec and Cernovich, and kind of moving that way. And I could see the differences in individual people.
Right.
Just because I think it's because I'm older. If I was younger in my 20s, I would have probably gotten into it with them. But because I'm older, I think we have the ability to stay in our own lane.
Yeah, we can let bygones be bygones, I guess.
Right.
But so that makes it. I hope we can get it to a point where we're all unblocking each other.
Hey, real quick, I was just thinking about this. You're 18 right now. So your entire teenage years was under Barack Hussein Obama.
Well, not only is it that bad, I was like always interested in politics, but I think it was 2014 when the James Foley thing happened, and I watched that, and I said to my teacher, like,
was it? Hold on real quick. That was the cigarette vendor guy who was selling cigarettes illegally?
No, that was the guy who was a journalist who ISIS killed. Okay,
sorry. Okay, I just want everybody to know.
When that happened, it sort of like reawakened me again, and then Trump ran, so it got me even more activated. But I always say, like, I'm a little grateful I was a little bit politically dumb under Obama, or it would have been a really rough 8 years.
Yeah, take my word for it. It sucked.
I know. We started our show during the Obama years, and it was pretty bad. Switching gears a little bit, Roseanne, you had a video about her. She's in the news this week. You called her a potential leader of a, quote, used to be Democrat revolution, which I like the way you phrased that because it kind of fits in with the WalkAway movement type of thing, because she kind of sold herself as a Democrat that's like this blue-collar working class person. So that worked out. But as we all know, Roseanne was fired for what was called a racist tweet. And just this week, Daily Mail reported that ABC regrets firing her.
Yeah, I'm sure they do.
So what's
the show's going to crash and burn.
They're trying to do her show without her. She was the funny one. That's why everybody tuned in.
Well, she was the brains of the operation, really, when it comes down to like the direction of the different shows.
And John Goodman played off of her, and she played off of him.
That was really good.
Yeah.
So what's your opinion on that particular situation, but more importantly, because of why she got fired in the first place, like race relations in general with regards to politics?
Well, I think that, like, I remember the last 2 years under Bush, and I remember being able to wear a Halloween costume and it wasn't a big deal. Like, you weren't accused of cultural appropriation.
Right.
I think that Obama never had a lot to talk about. He never had policies that he knew he could get passed, that he wouldn't have to go to the Supreme Court with. So he relied on all this race relations stuff. And Trump brought it out into the light. So people blame Trump for being so divisive. All Trump did was shine a light on it. So race relations now are really poor. They are. We don't have a lot of people who can go into other areas and talk to people. And that's because we're all so defensive about it, because conservatives had to be, and liberals are always sort of using it to attack us. So I think they're really poor right now. I think they're very poor, especially in my generation. There's a lot of like genuine anger between people of different races in my generation because it's all been fed off by politicians.
Well, and you see CNN having black hosts on CNN calling Kanye West racial epithets because of his decision to think differently. What?
It doesn't make any sense. And the thing with Roseanne was so weird because everyone knew that was a ticking time bomb before they pulled it, because the ratings were too big and because it might influence people who watched her before and voted Democrat. So I think that was an overreaction there. And I think that now that they're looking back and they're like, oh, was that not a great idea? Because she's doing all this other thing, so the public doesn't seem to hate her. And this hatred of her was, at this pinpoint, it didn't really spread out through her entire career. And that's why she's being viewed upon now as somebody who can sway people who watched her when the show was originally on, because she can talk to them about what it really means to be a liberal, to be a conservative, especially in Hollywood.
Right, and James Woods tweeted out, was it NBC? NBC? ABC? Who owns the name Roseanne?
Right.
I mean, that is her name.
Yeah.
Who cannot? I mean, they picked up Tim Allen with Last Man Standing, and that's doing phenomenally well.
I love that show.
Oh, really? I got this guy I work with. He's 30, just turned 30. Had a birthday. Happy birthday, millennial. So I call him my millennial to keep him, incognito. But he told me about the show. He said, Brian, you got to watch this. Last Man Standing's hysterical. It's successful, and they joke on the show. Like they were watching a show or something, and they joked. They said, "Wow, that's funny. How does one network fire a show, another one pick it up, and it be so wildly successful?" Like they're talking about the show and the things that happen to it, but they're in the show, and it's
like breaking the fourth wall a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. So
they overreached their hand with canceling Last Man Standing. I think that the liberals went on sort of a tirade trying to get rid of anything conservative. And that one sort of bit them back because it's a super popular show. And there was nothing that was controversial that happened. Tim Allen didn't do anything, so they had no excuse.
Okay, so there's another conservative on the show other than Tim Allen?
No.
No? Oh, okay. I'm just kind of following up.
I don't watch the show, so I don't.
But yeah, no, Tim Allen outspoken, just like James Woods. James Woods even said, he said, I know I've ruined my career by allowing people to know that I'm conservative.
So you're still in high school right now?
No, I'm in my freshman year of college now.
Oh, okay. Okay. So you have access to a lot of young people around you.
Oh, yeah.
What can you say, both the left and the right? I'm assuming you still talk. You have friends that are also on the left, probably. I know I do. Yeah. So I have friends and family.
Some are still in high school. Yeah.
So what is their feeling on the whole Kavanaugh process? That whole confirmation process? The way he had been, it was attempted that they drug him through the mud and destroy him so that he would either drop out because he was done with this, or that it scared Trump enough to say, you know what, let's just play it safe and just pull him out and we'll put somebody else in. Like, what did you get any feeling of what their reaction was on that?
I think starting out they were they were upset about it. They didn't want him to go through, but once Michael Avenatti came out, people were like,
it's not just you. The Democrats hated him too.
He's in the category of James Comey now. Both sides hate him.
Yes. The Democrats have come out and have said that he literally sabotaged their efforts. So you saw that.
Yeah, I think once that happened, they started to say, well, I don't think this is really true then. How did this guy get nobody who said anything about it when he was approved as a judge before? So had that not come out, I think the whole Republican Party would have suffered a little bit with young people, especially young moderates, because they were turned off by it. But Michael Avenatti allegations kind of saved them.
Wow, that is so funny, because we were thinking that obviously hurt him, but we were also not believing the original allegations, because not that we weren't believing, it's just that if you don't have any kind of substantiation or anything like that, you just can't move forward with it. And then when the Avenatti came along, I saw that it was hurtful, but I didn't realize how devastating it was until just now. You're saying this.
Good.
Yeah, that's funny.
Did you see him on Tucker Carlson?
Oh, I did.
Gosh. It's fantastic.
I played the clip at the very end on our show right after that where he swore. Well, he promised, if you saw the whole show, he promised you coming on, I promise not to call you that
the
name.
Creepy porn lawyer.
Yes. And as soon as the show started, it said creepy porn lawyer at the bottom of the screen. And at the very end, he did go straight creep. Like
He got creepy.
Like I wouldn't even let my children watch that. That's so gross.
He's
right.
a weirdo.
And then Tucker said, okay, and we've had enough of creepy porn lawyer. Moving on.
So, all right. So I guess we'll see you at the WalkAway March, and you'll be up there speaking. So everybody should definitely come. And also, let's talk about where to follow you. So you have a YouTube channel.
Yeah. It's Magdalene Rose. It's the same as the Twitter channel, the same name.
Okay. Make sure you get that H in there when you're typing your name in.
And if you're watching video, look down at the bottom of the screen. It's right there on the video. I've had it up the whole time. And if you're listening to the audio portion on iHeartRadio, just scroll down in the show notes. It's at the very top of the show notes, her handle.
Right. Magdalene Rose, and also follow her on Twitter. Main thing is you do these. One thing really smart, you do 2.5-minute videos.
Yeah.
And that way people with ADHD don't have to commit to anything. Just 2 minutes.
See, our problem with ADHD is that we can't stop, and it's 3 hours long.
Yeah, we keep talking. So, no, that's cool. So awesome. We'll see you there. Make sure you're following Magdalene Rose. And anything else? Any last words?
No, just thank you so much for having me on. This was a lot more fun than some other stuff.
Well, we'll definitely get back to you as soon as we have a news on the Europe.
Well, not only that, but I would love to just invite you back after the WalkAway March, just to kind of, we can all three just recap of how that went and just enjoy. You know, that, because we'll be driving 8 hours from D.C. back to Cincinnati.
Yeah.
So I think that would be a great start of a show, and it would be easy on show prep to do that, to just kind of recap how the weekend went and the talk and whatnot.
Cool.
That'd be great. Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Thanks a lot, Magdalene.
Bye.
All right. Awesome interview. Lots of fun. So it's good to, that's the first time I've really had a chance to talk to somebody about really a previous generation, a full previous generation. Like she is technically young enough to be my daughter. So we're talking full other generation, which is cool because
18, 28, 38.
Oh yeah.
Easily.
Yeah, I've been like 24 years old.
Oh, my brother who's younger than my brother who's your age.
Yeah.
Has a daughter in college, is 24
yeah,
or something.
She's much older, yeah. So,
yeah.
But he was 18 at the time, or maybe 19, something like that. So he got started a little early. Yeah. But the point is that it gives me insight that I might not have gotten a good firm grasp on by asking her these awesome political questions. And man, she is really savvy with the politics at that age. When I was 18, I was called, actually I was 20 or 21 years old in the Marine Corps. Somebody accused me of being a bleeding heart liberal. And honest God, had no idea what he was talking about. I didn't know what a bleeding heart liberal was. No idea.
I think they did a great job in the 90s of keeping us
stupid.
Yeah, but I will say this: she did mention race, and race in America is more divisive now than it has been.
I didn't want to get too much into it because we could have did the whole 3 hours with her easily. But I could have pointed out that back in the 90s, race relations was really probably the best in all of American history.
It was great. It was awesome.
It wasn't perfect because you had the South Central, was it riots? What was it? Not the Watts riots. That was from the 60s. What was the Compton?
Rodney King.
Yeah, I was thinking of what city in LA that was. I think it was Compton.
Yeah, it was Compton.
So
the other
Compton
one was
riots. That was the Rodney King and all that. So people like to say, "What? Race relations was at the worst in the 90s because we had Rodney King." No. LA was a special isolated case that they've decided to extrapolate onto the rest of the country. But if you look at like just Hollywood alone, they were pumping out all these sitcoms that were like all black sitcoms. Like you had the Cosby Show and I remember watching Different Strokes, and you just had all these all these different there's a million of them. I don't have them written down in front of me. But remember in Living Color?
Oh, it was one of my favorite shows to watch. We talked about it at school every single time it was on. The next day, if you didn't watch it, you were ridiculed.
It was like being around the water cooler, but you're in high school for us. So yeah, everybody talked about the next day. You were definitely ostracized if you did not know the skits. And that's how it was in the 90s. And of course, I went to an integrated inner city public school, so like everybody could go to school and talk about what they saw on In Living Color the previous day or previous weekend. And I'm telling you, race relations were at an all-time great at that time, and it was Barack Obama who destroyed it.
My junior high years, 7, 8, 9, there was one a darker-skinned colored girl who a year above me, and I absolutely had a crush on her. Towards the end of her 9th grade year and the end of my 8th grade year, she actually flirted with me, and I got nervous. I got all scared because she was older. And
oh, wow.
That was about it. But other than that, there's only one. But there wasn't like we didn't go around talking about stuff like that. And she was actually with the prep girls. She was well accepted, educated. I mean,
right.
I don't know what to say. So forget about this whole racist ideologies. And yes, just like Magdalene said, Trump did not create the racist environment that is. Trump just turned the light on.
Right. And it wasn't like this. People are thinking that it's either gotten worse or it's always been this bad and we need to do something about it. And it was really bad in the 60s and 70s. You start to get into the 80s and people started warming up to it, and you had the integration.
In the 80s, people started warming up to LGBTQ LMNOP stuff.
A little bit.
Well, Hollywood went, in my personal opinion, Hollywood gave the keys to the LGBTQ community, and they ran amok in
Well, I might go
Hollywood.
back further than that. You're the one that told me about all those actors from the 50s and 60s.
They were in the closet.
Right.
They were in the closet.
Yeah, they weren't out.
But as soon as Rock Hudson came out of the closet, whoa.
I still didn't believe it I thought you were just saying that to trigger me or something.
Yeah,
Not that I cared. It just,
Yeah,
I was
no.
just like, whatever. Brian doesn't know what he's
Rock
talking about.
Hudson and Doris Day. Y'all remember that one? It's called Party Line. Back in the day, if you wanted to get a phone in your house, you could get it half price or real cheap. You just shared it with other people near you, either in your apartment or next to you. So if you picked up the phone and somebody was on the phone, you had to wait for them to get off the phone.
Right. Or you could listen in.
My first phone in my first apartment.
You might be showing your age here.
Yeah, my mom took me to the phone company to help me get the service turned on. And the lady asked me if I wanted that option. And I looked at her and said, because I'm a smart cookie. I said, so if I pick up the phone and somebody's on and I can't no, you're going to have to wait. So they can listen to my comment. Yeah, pretty much. But it's real cheap. I said, no, I'll pay I think it was $34 a month.
That's
pay the
really
$34.
expensive. That's real expensive back then. But no, that sounds about right.
Yeah,
but
that was back in the
remember
early
Some
90s.
Like It Hot.
Oh, yeah,
With the,
yeah.
Guys dressing up in drag.
Marilyn Monroe, Jack Lemmon, and Tony
Curtis.
Curtis.
Tony
I
Curtis.
got
I
Kathy's.
assume Tony Curtis is straight because he ended up having a child.
No, man, that don't make no never mind. Elton John was married.
Oh.
And
to a woman?
Yes, and so is
oh, that's kind of surprising. I didn't know that actually.
And so is
Elton John was married to a woman?
And John Travolta's married too. I'm letting it all out now.
We got
Tom
an
Cruise.
expose.
Tom Cruise is married.
Penelope Cruz?
Well, not anymore, but he was married. Yeah, and oh no, he was never married to Penelope Cruz. Her last name is just Cruz.
Oh, so it was just a coincidence.
Yeah, but he is. Folks, if you live out in Hollywood, it's all out on the street. Nobody cares about nothing.
No rules.
No.
There's no morals.
And here's the thing: out there, it's not gay or straight. It's just I'm having fun. I'm for real. That's how bad it's gone.
Do what you feel.
That's it. And that's what the baby boomers gave us. Yeah. Anyways, okay, going too far on that one. So let's get back into race relations and how they've gotten better, huh? All right.
Somebody said seek help.
Who?
I'm just kidding.
Oh, for me?
No, they were responding to somebody else, but I saw the seek help part, and I thought, I got to say that to Brian. Seek help.
I'm going to look for help on that one. So I got Kanye West and Jim Brown. If you don't know Jim Brown.
Oh, gosh. He was in I'm going to Get You, Sucker.
He sure was. And my wife.
Yeah.
for the first time in her life this week, watched I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker.
I highly recommend it. It's one of those, it's a groundbreaking movie. It had a lot of crossover appeal, came out in the late 80s.
88.
Okay, so I
Only
remember
because I just saw it.
As like a 12, 13-year-old back then, it came on probably HBO. I had never heard of it, but back then, when you wanted to watch TV, you watched whatever came on. We didn't have no DVR.
No.
You watched whatever came on. And so I turned it on. I had nothing else to do. I said, I'm going to watch a movie. What's this? I'm going to get you, sucker. What's this? Started watching it and realized that this is a really funny movie.
What, Damon Wayans and the Wayans brothers?
And this was before In Living Color. So In Living Color came to be because of I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker.
Right.
It had Jim Brown in it and, all the Wayans brothers.
So Jim Brown, a phenomenal Hall of Fame football player.
Running back, right?
Yeah, something that, and I've always been amazed with his strength, his demeanor, his ability. I watched a documentary on him, and the interviewer, the guy interviewing him, said, hey, I wanted to ask you, Jim, I've noticed that if it's the first quarter or it's the last quarter, when you get hit or get knocked down, you seem to take a few seconds and you don't pop up. You don't just jump up like some of these other, I don't know, I'm paraphrasing, whippersnappers or whatever.
The young guys.
Yeah, and he said, he was retired now. He said, oh no, that's part of my strategy. I don't think my voice can get that deep. But he said, absolutely, that's part of my strategy. They don't know when I'm tired.
So they think he's tired, and then they start to back off because they're like, Jim's tired. We don't have to try as hard. And that'll give him his advantage because he can explode.
And they realize quickly he's not going from slowing down to speeding up. He's staying at the same pace. He's not even changing.
Awesome.
So he's not. So I love the tactics from Jim Brown. Just a great guy. And so him and Kanye West went to the White House. Notice people didn't attack Jim Brown.
Interesting.
Back in the day, back in the 60s and 70s, Jim Brown wore the. Remember the hat that some of the
Nation of Islam.
Yes, Nation of Islam, the green, yellow, and black cap. He wore that, but he doesn't do that anymore. So maybe he moved on. But the reason I think they're not attacking Jim Brown is out of absolute respect for him.
I would hope so.
And he didn't really say anything.
Not much. In fact, when Donald Trump looked over to him and said, do you have anything to say? This was right after like a 25-minute rant by Kanye West. And Jim's never been a man of many words. Even in the movie, I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker, his lines were very minimal.
In the interview that I saw him in, there wasn't. He didn't expound on the answer. He just, it's just what I do.
Yeah, he's a man of action, not a man of words. That's for sure.
So I got a little clip here. It's 3 different clips, a little montage here of Kanye's visit. Kanye speaking to Trump and Trump, a little bit of back and forth. And then I added in the famous ending of their meeting that has triggered leftist liberals on CNN. So let's get that running.
But you know what I don't like about, it's not that I don't like, what I need Saturday Night Live to improve on, or what I need the liberals to improve on is, if he don't look good, we don't look good. This is our president. He has to be the freshest, the flyest planes, the best factories, and we have to make our core be empowered. We have to bring jobs into America because our best export is entertainment and ideas. But when we make everything in China and not in America, then we're cheating on our country. And we're putting people in positions to have to do illegal things to end up in the cheapest factory ever, the prison system.
You had said of President Bush that he doesn't care about black people. And you've heard some people say that about this president. How do you respond to that?
Okay, for those of you who listen audio only, the question from the reporter was, you said that President Bush doesn't like black
doesn't
people.
care about
Doesn't care about black
right.
people.
And he said that during the and we played it a million times on our show, at least 3 or 4 times, where they were doing a telethon fundraiser for Katrina victims.
Right.
And so he kind of fell into the trap that the fake news media had set for him back then. And they were just brainwashing everybody.
Right. And he said, now you've heard people say that about Trump. Now, I know you're not, but you've heard people say that.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about
before you move on, I want to make a comment on what he had said so far. If you understand where he's coming from, where Kanye West is coming from, and what he's talking about in particular, I don't have a single thing wrong or can criticize a single thing about what he just said. What he just said made perfect sense to me. He's talking about how we need to get jobs. We need to stop exporting all of our labor to companies or to countries like China and whatnot, because what ends up happening is people in America have to resort to doing whatever they can to survive, which is sometimes illegal activities, which you end up in prison for.
Right. And he said the worst, what was it, the worst worst labor prison system or something of that nature.
That's pretty much what he said.
Right.
I think we need to care about all people. And I believe that when I went on to NBC, I was very emotional and I was programmed to think from a victimized mentality, a welfare mentality. I think that...
Hold on. He's saying what we all know. And it's so honest. I love this. He's saying, I'll just translate it, and this is what it really means. He knows that he was not red-pilled yet at that time, and he had been programmed to think and believe that way, especially when he gets emotional, which he was at that time, to be able to come out and say what the media wants him to say, because he's been brainwashed to think that. And you are. If you haven't been red-pilled yet, or you haven't seen what fake news media is trying to do to you with their lies and everything, then you are where Kanye was back in the 2000s when Katrina happened, and he said that he believed that President George W. Bush. Now, we have a lot of negative things to say about President George W. Bush.
Sure. Of course.
To think that one of his attributes was that he doesn't care about black people, or that he doesn't care about a group of people based on the color of their skin, that's something you have to be brainwashed to actually believe is 100%. True.
Yeah.
So that's his answer, and he's being real right here.
He's being honest. He's being upfront. He's like, you know what? I'm not that same person.
Blacks and African Americans, we really get caught up in the idea of racism over the idea of industry. We say if people don't have land, they settle for brands. We want Polo Sport and Obama again. We want a brand more than we want land, because we haven't known how it feels to actually have our own land and have ownership of our own blocks. So when you don't have ownership, then it's all about how something looks. It's about the patina. It's not about the soil. It's not about the core. So we focus more on, is somebody wearing something? Does someone disrespect me, so I gotta shoot them? Or the idea of someone being racist.
What about gun violence with all the debate about the Second Amendment going on?
Hold on.
The problem is...
they just asked about Second Amendment, but I got to translate what he said there, because he's right on point, but it's going to fly over so many people's heads. So when we protect ourselves with the Second Amendment, what are we really doing? The main thing is you got a plot of land. You know, you're a farmer, let's say, or let's say you just own a chunk of land where you're living out of, and you go to work every day or whatever, and you got your family there, you got your wife and your kids. And if somebody were to try to break into that and do harm to your family or your property, you're going to want to be able to defend yourself with your Second Amendment right to bear arms and maybe even shoot that person. But what Kanye's saying is when you have been programmed, as he would say, into because you don't get land, or you can't get land, or you don't know how to get land, what your property is and only is your brand. And I think a lot of people will misunderstand that and saying, "Oh, what are you talking about? You're talking about like a big name, like a Nike or something. What are we talking about brand?" What he means is, if you're this young guy living in the hood you have no land, you have nothing to your name, the only thing you own is your brand. And if somebody were to disrespect you, they are actually doing harm on your brand. And why is your brand so important? Because as a man, the stronger your brand is, the more attractive you're going to be to the opposite sex.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
This is how, for women out there listening right now, this is how a young man truly thinks. They might not be able to articulate it the way I am or the way Kanye West is, but as a young man, and Brian, when we were young.
My brand was my car.
Why do you think that we would dress super nice? We would have super nice shoes. You have to have a nice car. I almost really hurt somebody when I was in my 20s because they put their foot into my back quarter panel and dented it. And I had a Snapple bottle in my hand, and I just chucked it. I was meaning to throw it over his head to scare him,
right?
And it nailed him in the chest. And he was talking about, I'm gonna charge you with assault and all this kind of stuff. But the reason I was so angry is because he had done damage. It's not just property. We're talking about the thing that was going to be my brand. I didn't want to drive around town with a dented car.
Well, not only that, but I on purposely got as red as this Make America Great Again hat, as red as that hat was the brightest red that my muscle car was.
And why would that be?
Because, man, I stood out and the ladies loved it.
Oh, I got a 2,000 watt stereo system in my car that I would always have as high as it would go before the speaker started getting distorted.
Right,
and that was important because that was the mating call.
Yes.
That was the mating call.
And that was my brand, so much so that I've run into other guys that are my age that know that car.
Yeah, so Kanye, if you know what Kanye's talking about here, he is dead on accurate. He's talking about a man's brand. And what Brian and I just articulated to you right now is why it's so valuable. And if somebody would come over and say, you suck, or something like that, or say something that were to be derogatory to you, they're actually harming your brand. And these young kids are thinking, well, I have to protect my only property that I have, which is my brand. Bam, you start shooting whoever.
It's like the guy broke into your house.
Yes, and that is what he's talking about. This is the translation of Kanye West. And if you didn't know that, or if you never heard that, we may be the only Smyth Radio. Maybe the only ones that have just properly translated Kanye West's words here.
There's nobody out there saying this. I have not heard it.
And guess what? Those people go to prison because guess why? If somebody breaks into your home, you can shoot them and you're not going to prison. But if somebody breaks into your brand and tries to do damage to it and break it down and beat it up, and you try to protect your brand the same way you would protect your property, you're going to prison for murder.
Right.
Period.
And so what he's talking about educating the youth to be raised up to knowing that, no, the natural progression of life is to get an apartment, then to get a house. Property, to obtain property. And when you're 35, 36, 37, 38, living in the basement of your mom's house, just got out of jail, just in and out of jail. I mean, this is problematic, very problematic. And that's why Kanye and Jim Brown are at the White House with Trump to have a luncheon and to talk about prison reform.
Mm-hmm.
Not what CNN's talking about. No news outlet is talking about this stuff, folks.
No.
What about gun violence with all the debate about the Second Amendment going on?
The problem is illegal guns. Illegal guns is the problem, not legal guns. We have the right to bear arms.
And he just stops right there. He just stopped. That's all you got to say.
Did you hear the pause was longer than that? I don't know.
Did they call that a power pause?
Yeah, I didn't know why I clipped it.
I'm so glad he did not try to expand on that because he didn't need to.
Yeah. Let's stop worrying about the future. All we really have is today. We just have today, over and over and over again, the eternal return, the hero's journey. And Trump is on his hero's journey right now. And he might not have expected to have a crazy like Kanye West run up and support. But best believe, we are going to make America great.
Honestly, from our standpoint, this was just set up to be a lunch of two people that I like. And I guess they like me. And we're going to have lunch. We're going to talk.
You said, I guess you know I love you.
I know.
Did I?
But I don't want to put you in that spot. But
no, I'm standing in that spot. I love this guy right here. Let me give this guy a hug. I love this guy right here.
That's what triggered for those of you on audio. Kanye just hugged Trump.
I didn't want to put you in that position.
Look how smart Trump is.
Special guy. These two are special people. Whether you like it, whether you don't like it, they're special people. And I appreciate it. Jim, Kanye, I appreciate it. So let's go have some lunch.
That was so. Think about the, it may seem easy for some people. It might be nuanced, but it's so easy to insult people or to rub people the wrong way or whatever. For Trump to know that he knew what Kanye said to him in private or said to him in public in the past, and Kanye interrupted him to say that, well, I love this guy, and he's
man.
like, I wasn't. That's not for me to say. Right. It's not for me to tell everybody listening here that Brian loves me. He's got to say it himself.
Right.
And he's not, so he must.
I'm standing in this place. I love you, man.
Right.
Something else that he said that I thought was really, really, really good is that he was saying that we've got to allow Trump to be great. We got to make this guy look good. We got to rally around our president. CNN, this is your president. CNN, this is reality. This is real. It is your president, Trump.
Right.
289 things that he has done in 20 months. I almost said 20 years. In 20 years, he's done in 20 months. Think about that. Charlie Kirk asked the question, what in the hell have the presidents in the last 20 years been doing when Trump has done all of this beyond them?
Well, they were either too scared to pull the trigger, like, well, I really know that this needs to happen, but if I'm the one to do it, I'm going to touch the third rail, and I'm going to get shocked, and I'm going to get voted out, and the people are going to hate me.
You just mentioned in the third rail.
Yeah.
You don't hear that no more.
Well, it used to be that they would they were always talking about the third rail politics is whatever it's called.
Abortion?
No, Social Security.
Social Security. Yep,
nobody ever talks about Social Security anymore, which I'll tell you what, Social Security won't be as big of a problem if the economy is going like gangbusters. It's when everything starts to recede back that everybody's like, whoa, what's going to happen with Social Security? We're going to have record tax revenues and everything like that when the economy goes like gangbusters, even when they lower taxes. So lowering taxes will spur the economy, but then also that will cause an influx of a lot of taxes. So it's funny how lowering taxes ends up giving you more revenue, but then nobody talks about the third rail. But third rail could be whatever Trump does that all the other politicians for the last 20 years were scared to death to touch. They're all the third rail. All of them.
Right. And real quick, this was in the news this week. Trump having at it with the feds. The feds raising interest rates again. The feds have consistently raised the rates on Trump, consistently raised the rates on Bush. And if you look at the chart under Obama, the rates were the lowest they had ever been for the longest they had ever been at 0. I'm just saying it's acceptable for Trump to complain about that. I would too. Anyway, so this is CNN going full racist on Kanye.
Oh, this is the response of the fake streams, racist liars at mainstream media, CNN. And I think, do you have more than just CNN? Because I know there was other stuff where people were, shameless.
I got CNN doing the full racist thing, and then I've got a montage of shameless plugs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kanye West is what happens when Negroes don't read. And we have this now, and now Donald Trump is going to use it and pervert it, and he's going to have somebody who can stand with him and take pictures.
Okay, so that's Don Lemon and Don Lemon, another black guy who said it, and a black woman who's there, and a white old guy who is absolutely mortified that this is going down. But all three of the black persuasion folks
here's the thing about
are
Don,
laughing.
Yeah, well, Don Lemon is almost falling off of his chair laughing, and I'll tell you exactly why. Because he knows that what was said was going to make headlines all over the place, so he's laughing about that. But he was too much of a coward to say it himself, even though he 100% agrees with it, and he's excited that somebody else got to say it on his show, so that so it could happen, and he'll have contributed to it by association.
I couldn't agree with you more.
Just looking at Scott's.
That's Don Lemon laughing hysterically.
Then black folks are about to trade Kanye West in the racial draft, okay? They've had it with him, and he's an attention whore like the president. He's all of a sudden now the model spokesperson. He's the token Negro of the Trump administration. This is ridiculous, and no one should.
They're
be
trying to
taking
one
Kanye
up
West
each other.
seriously.
Yep.
He's clearly has issues.
This mob mentality trying to outdo each other.
It's keeping up with the Joneses. The one guy says that he's she called him the token Negro, and he called him
when Negroes don't read.
So they're literally trying to one up each other.
Yep.
Already been hospitalized.
Oh, that's so stupid.
Okay, so now for those of you who they've gone straight to hold on.
And by the way, the racial draft is a they're referencing a skit done by Dave Chappelle. And if I had realized that that's what she said, I would have told you to pull up that clip. They had a racial draft, which Dave Chappelle really made a funny skit.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
So this was a tweet by Sean @Sean_A. How sad, yet they'll call me and other black conservatives Uncle Tom. These black morons have found a way to survive in a dim cult that thinks nothing for their personhood, and in their willingness to keep their place, they willfully misinform other blacks to stay dependent. #WalkAway. He shot that out to Real James Woods, replying to Real James Woods, who was beside himself as well. This by @AmericaFirst 830. So if a black man is a Trump supporter, he is mentally sick? ? Then they bring on black guests to attack Kanye while the white guy sits silent because if he says those things, it's racist.
Oh, he would be fired by everybody. He would never work in this country again if he said the things that the non-white guest said.
This whole segment on its own is racism. Liberals, and especially CNN, are the sick ones. You're right. They would. The white guy would never ever work again, and it's just a shame.
Not anywhere. They wouldn't hire him to flip burgers at McDonald's.
Right. And Candace Owens @RealCandaceO. Last night on CNN, Kanye West was called a token Negro and a dumb Negro.
Oh,
I want you guys to imagine if those words were ever uttered on Fox News. CNN has finally committed to going full-blown racist.
I'll tell you what, if that was said on Fox News, especially by a white conservative, I think that all cable and satellite companies would be forced to completely drop them from their lineup. They will have had to close everything up. They would have to turn the lights off, shut the door behind them, lock the door behind them, and that would be it for Fox News. And it may not happen immediately. It would be like a however hard that they fought against it is how long it would last, but it would be worse than the Kavanaugh. It'd be worse. And the Kavanaugh thing was made up, but since this right here was like somebody saying it, the whole thing would have to be shut down.
Oh,
the whole
absolutely.
Thing.
Absolutely.
I know it's
100%.
hypothetical, but come on. You know.
Well, look what they did to Alex Jones. They unpersoned somebody.
Oh, they would unperson Fox News, totally.
Yeah, because the ratings with Fox News destroys these other outlets.
I think they might save the network if every single member of every single show outside of the person who said it came out and just condemned it all to hell and like really hardcore condemned it. Basically spent their entire segments condemning it. I think maybe it would save the network, but probably not. Because of all the advertisers would be shamed into having to leave every single show.
And so this is why we're showing, folks, I just want to preface this. We do have phenomenal news about the economy, and we're going to get to that in the show. So this is not a negative show. I don't ever want people to think
make fun of it's actually positive getting to make fun of NBC and CNN.
And what we're doing, don't get angry about these things. Like you're thinking, oh, well, justice will never be served. Justice. No. This is proof positive of why people are walking away from the Democrat Party, why pollsters have to use 16 to 19% more Democrats than Republicans to get a poll that says that the race is close, the race is tight. Bill Stills did a video of it, and he kind of blew that out, and he's saying that the Republicans absolutely hold the Senate, and worst case scenario, he said the Republicans are one up in the House.
Yeah.
So
I have some opinions about that, but we'll get to it later.
Right. And so this is a montage video put together by Mark Dice, and this is the media. This is the media that we don't watch. The young lady that we just had on, Rose, she doesn't watch this. The millennials, my millennial doesn't watch this stuff. I'll be honest with you, Carrie, I don't know who's watching this stuff.
I think it's just propped up by donors.
I mean, George Soros has got to run out of money sooner or later, I would think.
I guess.
I mean, ooh. So anyway, so this is a montage by MSNBC and CNN. This is how full-blown crazy they have gotten. This is absolute craziness.
On any given moment, the combination of his erratic behavior, his ignorance could pose a profound danger to every single person in this country and literally every inhabitant of the planet Earth.
The fact of the matter is, I don't know if our institutions can handle what Trump is doing.
The Trump presidency is a national emergency, and it is up to us, both parties, to treat the Trump presidency as a national emergency.
And this is about all of us. And once again, about human civilization, our future on this planet. We need Donald Trump out of office now.
This is unbelievable. This is a presidency. This is a genuine constitutional crisis.
America's president sided with its enemy today.
And to me, that's the most frightening thing. A guy with his finger on the nuclear button who is impulsive, egotistical, and narcissistic really doesn't seem to be able to engage in basic cognitive activity.
You can do some work reading history and reading books about how dictatorships happen, the development of very negative forces taking over, and what you are seeing is either this happening right now or someone who's not well.
Trump wears people out. He exhausts them. He numbs them. He completely...
Like, you're numbed. This guy is so numb.
That sounds like a dictator
He
in the
just,
making,
He just,
actually.
he just completely wears them out.
Yeah.
The president's approval rating is ticking up, not down.
88% of Republicans still support him. 88%.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I start to wonder when we have these conversations and we say, well, this is going to be the breaking point. I wonder if there is a breaking point. I wonder if enough people in this country find the actions and the behavior repulsive enough to want to change what's going on.
Maybe this country is a lot more racist and sexist than we thought.
I call these people political termites because if termites are eating away at the structure of your house, you may not know until it's seriously compromised, until you put a foot through the floor or a wall collapses. And that's what they're doing.
How do you convince black folk in this state that you're not a danger to them?
Are you suggesting that they're racist or they're...
Yes.
The people who vote, all the people who voted for Donald Trump are racist?
Yes. I had hope and an open mind, and I have lost hope completely, and my mind is closed. This presidency is fake and failed. The president of the United States is completely unhinged and getting worse by the day. Perhaps the stress is really squeezing in on him.
And Wolf, just to give you a sense as to what's happening right now, you can hear there is a chorus of boos and other chants from this Trump crowd here in Tampa, Florida. They're saying things like CNN sucks, go home, and fake news.
I like the president. I want to help him. I hope he's successful. He's been a friend to me, and he says some things I don't agree with. So if you don't like me working with President Trump to make the world a better place, I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
There you have it.
There you have it, Lindsey Graham.
And there you have it.
Give it up to Lindsey Graham.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, it's hilarious. It's hilarious how they're losing it.
They are the mob. We got to start saying mob.
Yes.
That's the new word this week. Mob.
Is it mob news? Did you hear? I think it was Scott Adams said, I think is getting credited for this hashtag because I've seen it in a lot of memes since then. And I remember thinking to myself, I wonder who came up with this, but jobs before mobs.
Oh, I like it. Jobs before mobs.
I think that Scott Adams is getting credit for that hashtag. That is awesome. Jobs before mobs. And it's perfect because the left is calling the mob, they're calling that the M word because they won't even say the word. They're trying to liken it with the N word by calling it the M word. saying it's so bad it can't even be uttered, and that if you do say it, you're a complete racist. And so it's hilarious that Scott Adams decided, well, let's make that a part of a hashtag. He also used a rhyme.
Oh, yeah.
And also,
whenever you do anything, if it rhymes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the rhyming is, I actually learned that from Brian, that you get it to rhyme, and it's going to be great.
Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton, that's what they do.
And of course, the whole thing about jobs, it ends up being, if you had one word to describe the 2 first years of the Trump administration so far, one word, it's got to be jobs. I mean, is there any other single word description of the success of the Trump administration for the first 24 months? It's got to be jobs. And therefore, jobs before mobs is just great. Or I think it was jobs, not mobs. It's either jobs, not mobs, or jobs before mobs. Either way, it works. It works great.
Okay, so since we're talking about jobs and mobs, Dan Bongino was on Fox and Friends.
I love him.
Dan Bongino, great American.
Former Secret Service, yep.
And NYPD officer.
Oh, okay.
I believe he's former PD officer as well.
I think he was in the military too, but the thing that he really leads with is former Secret Service.
Right. But he's friends with Gary Byrne.
Oh, I think they're all. I think
you got it. You're so tight. You got to know.
Yeah, it's a small community.
Yeah,
so.
Especially when you're protecting the president.
Yeah,
everybody's
absolutely.
So this is the Republican senator takes on the mob. So check out the mob. If you didn't see this, this is one of those videos. Now there is a little bit of echo, so it might be kind of hard to hear. But you got to listen really closely to the senator and how he confronts the mob.
Senator Cassidy, can you please apologize to my children for ruining their futures?
Hey, guess what? If in the future somebody makes it, I know your parents are using you as tools.
No,
but if
we're
in the
not
future,
using them as
in the
tools.
future,
We're
if
not
somebody
using them
makes
as
an
tools.
allegation against you and there's no proof for it, you'll be okay.
And you should hope that.
What a great guy! How you walking down the hall get called? He got ambushed, and he knew exactly what to say. I have to give this guy a standing ovation. Congratulations. This was great. Talk about confronting this mob. And how despicable is it that they're going to use their kids in that fashion? I would never do that to my daughter. I mean, even if I felt that a Democrat senator or a congressman or whatever was supporting a policy that was going to be bad for my children somehow, I wouldn't use them that way. It would have to be against my children specifically.
Right.
Specifically.
If you did something to my child, me and my child will show up and I would say, look, what you did harmed the youth.
Right. And I might point out that, look, I have children, and what you're doing is making it really hard for me to raise my children right. And I might even point to them. But I wouldn't say, hey, can you apologize to my children? That is so disgusting.
Now, and talking about the Kavanaugh thing, folks, it is Hillary Clinton coming out. They go low, we go lower. They go high, we go lower. Keith Ellison, kick them hard, kick them when they're down. And so now it looks like Republican senators, and we've said this on this show. On this show, we said that these Republican senators are starting to see the outpouring support for their actions to be strong and to stand up following Trump. Follow Trump.
They were so scared to do this. They were scared to do anything. Anytime they had an accusation against them, they thought, we just need to weather the storm. We need to weather the storm. We need to act like we didn't hear it and just act like it's not there and it'll go away. And people, you know what would happen? People would kind of believe what they were being attacked with. When you had Trump come along and say, what? You're saying that about me? You're a liar. You guys are fake news. This is what the truth is. And just deny it with truth. You need to deny what's being accused of you by using truth. This is what I actually said. This is what I actually meant. For you guys to try to say otherwise is dishonest and just attack. And of course, it took a long time for the senators and the congressmen to come along. And finally, they're finally figuring out that the people will support you if you're for truth, if you're for justice, if you have facts that back you up, morality, righteousness, we will support you. We will back you up. We're not going to, I would say the people that pile on you will be outnumbered by the people who just want the truth to come out.
Absolutely, 100%.
Here, that's a bold move. Here to react, Dan Bongino, former Secret Service agent, former NYPD officer, host of the Dan Bongino Show, and author of the new book, Spygate, and a friend of this program. Dan, thanks for being here. So a senator gets confronted in the hallway. Usually they walk past or they talk past the issue, especially like Jeff Flake, especially. But if kids are involved, usually they walk back. Instead, he took the direct approach and spoke a lot of truth. Dan.
You know, Pete, good for him. Ever since the Tea Party revolution up there, we've been let down a lot by some of the Republican members up there. And I am really thoroughly enjoying this new fighting spirit. You know, listen, to the women who showed up with the kids to protest, that's fine. Listen, protesting, there's nothing more American than protesting. Good for you. But also, guys, there's nothing more American than a good fighting spirit as well. And Republican voters are finally enjoying people like Lindsey Graham, Cassidy, and Mitch McConnell stepping up and taking it to the Democrats for the first time. There's nothing wrong with Cassidy stopping and saying his piece as well. And one more thing on this. They tried to create a viral moment on Cassidy, and he completely flipped the script. It reminds me of The Usual Suspects, Benicio del Toro. They flipped you. You know, they flipped you for real. He flipped it around, and a viral moment is now ours, so good job.
That's true. He stole their viral moment. Yep. And they tried to steal it back by saying, don't hide in the bathroom. Did you see the whole video?
Yes, I did.
Don't hide in the bathroom. Why are you hiding from us? He certainly didn't hide from you when you called him out, and he looked right in your kid's face and said, you're going to be okay because our actions saved your future. When you get falsely accused of something or accused of something with no substantiation, you're going to be okay. You're not going to be crucified or burned at the stake in a witch hunt.
Salem witch trials, folks, that really did happen, and that's what they're trying to do now. You think that this Kavanaugh thing was big? Hold on, folks.
Oh my gosh, I've told this before. I'm glad you brought that up.
Stay strong.
We got to repeat it. I'm gonna tell you right now. Don't think that because what is her name, Amy Cohen Barrett or Barrett Cohen or something like that. Whoever the top name is that Trump was put. Don't think that because she's a female, they're not going to be able to Kavanaugh her. Oh. Let me tell you something. I'm gonna tell you this right now, and I said it either last show or the show before. I should say it every show just so that you don't forget it. Don't forget this. When Ruth Bader Ginsburg vacates her seat for whatever reason,
right,
they are going to try to argue that that is the far left liberal seat. It has a label on it.
It's reserved.
It's reserved. You do not put somebody who's not a far left liberal in the seat of a far left. These are assigned seats, Brian.
Yes.
These are assigned seats, and you do not. Trump is not authorized to fill that seat. This is the argument that they're going to make because they'll say the Supreme Court needs to stay relatively balanced.
Well, they tried to argue the one that Merrick Garland. They tried to argue that Merrick Garland should have been put up in there under Barack Obama.
Right.
And since he wasn't, he should be now.
And I'll tell you this, I'm starting to really understand the dynamics of appointing SCOTUS picks. And it seems to me that if you have one party that's in the White House and another party that's a majority in the Senate, so you got opposite, you got a lame duck, if you will. You got to put up somebody really moderate, really pleasing to the Senate, or it's probably not going to happen. However, on the other hand, if you have the same party occupying the Senate and the presidency, you're not going to stop whatever. You're not. And so thank God we were smart enough to win the Senate back in 2014. So that way when Antonin Scalia died, that we could stop Barack Obama, because if he had put even a moderate liberal in the position.
Well, he wanted Merrick Garland, who was an anti-Second Amendment
right. And I heard some people, I think it might have been Sean Hannity, point out that he was relatively moderate for a left-winger. Relatively moderate. And the reason that they put a relatively moderate left-winger up there is because they thought, well, this is the only way we're going to have any shot whatsoever. And thankfully, our Senate said, you know what, we're going to wait. And
we're going to take the Joe Biden rule.
I think I'm okay with that.
In your last term, Joe Biden rule.
I think it's great.
You don't get a pick.
It shows that the system that our founders put together works. So not only were we able to stop a president that everybody had realized by 2014 was a disaster for the country because of his ideology,
right?
Because of the Democrat Party, that we were able to stop them from taking over the majority at the Supreme Court. And also that when we get a President Trump in from another party who everybody likes so much that we also win the Senate, that he does get his picks.
Right.
So it turns out that our system that our founders set it's genius. It's absolutely genius the way they set it up, and the proof is in both of those scenarios.
Right, and somebody said the Dems are no longer an American party; they are communist now. Absolutely,
that was Beaumont Melissa.
Right, this is the Leninade that I was given. It's Leninade.
Notice how we did not drink it.
Join the party. Get hammered and sickle, a taste worth standing in line for. This is communism, folks. And this is Trump. I got the Trump MAGA hat over the communist bottle of Kool-Aid. However,
to cover it up.
Yeah, but this is to remind you, it's still there.
Yeah. You take this hat away and we got full-blown communism.
It's still there.
So
as we're talking about the economy, as we're talking about things going on, Donald Trump Donald Trump is doing rallies day to day, back to back. He was in Ohio. He was in Kentucky, Tennessee, something.
He did Kentucky. He's also going to go to Montana, Nevada, and Arizona. Arizona, and Montana.
This guy's got
this week.
This guy's got stamina like I don't know nobody at 73 years old.
Who needs sleep?
And apparently he sleeps only 4 hours a night. That's it. He's always been that way. And if you read his book, book at the very beginning, the very first chapter, you see he is a workaholic. He's used to this. This is his way of life.
Well, I think that if you were able to grant somebody with a magic wand the ability to work 20 hours a day and only sleep 4, I think you would have an extreme advantage over a lot of people.
Oh, sure. There's a video on YouTube that said the advantages of waking up at 5:30 in the morning. And they went through a slew of reasons why.
The early bird gets the worm is not just a cool saying. I mean, there's a lot of truth to it. But also imagine if you could wake up at, let's say, 6 in the morning after having gone to bed at 2 in the morning.
And not have a problem with it.
And do that every single day, 7 days a week. That is Donald Trump. And as president, he probably takes that amount of work per day seriously. Like before, he's getting close to retirement. He's a multi-billionaire. He's probably like, I could sleep in today. I'll sleep in till like 7. Get 5 hours of
Somebody
sleep.
said B12 shots. Yes, I knew a man who owned a business and worked similar to this. Very, very wealthy. He lived to be 98 years old, wildly successful, and he swore on B12 shots. Like he literally he literally went to his doctor on a regular
with a needle
to get a needle shot of B12.
You could get B12 in the bottle.
No, he wanted to concentrate.
Oh,
that's what I was. That's what I was told.
That sounds like a junkie.
That's what I was told. Get track marks all about.
Wow.
B12.
You got to go between the toes. That way they don't see it.
Oh, man. How we know this is not right?
Well, grew up in the streets, the rough streets of Cincinnati.
Don't go down that way.
Natty.
Don't go down that way of Vanilla Ice. You saw what happened to him.
What happened to him? Oh.
He was perpetrating.
Oh, and they hung him off of a balcony.
Yes.
Extorted him. He's doing pretty well for himself, though, right now.
He's now. Like his reality show. Good show. So here's Donald Trump at the rally talking about what is going on in America today.
Our country's unemployment rate has just fallen to 3.7%, the lowest in over 50 years. 50 years. Median household income has reached an all-time high. That's pretty good. Means you're making more money than you've ever made before. I don't know how much better, but we're going to get it up higher. We have eliminated a record number of job-killing regulations. And some of you will love this, and I'm proud of it. These are great people. It's a great resource when properly used. We have ended the war on clean, beautiful coal. We're putting our miners back to work like never before. They're going back.
They're going to spin that. Oh, he's putting miners back to work. What are these, sweatshops? He's putting miners to work. Children.
Oh, I know. You know those mines. You get miner's lung.
No, I'm talking about minors.
Oh, miners.
Yeah, fake news. Fake
you
news.
mean like what they did? Was it this morning they did this?
Yes, I'm going to actually look up the tweet right now. I'll read it to you because it was one of the last things I tweeted before the show.
Hey, while you do that, let's go to a station break. Just real quick break. We're at the top of the hour. Real quick. We're going to just gear up real fast and enjoy this while we get set for the last hour of our show.
In 2006, 1 month from the day Mark Taylor retired from his post as a career firefighter, he was suddenly overcome by a Holy Spirit-guided, supernatural vision of the future. This revelation, as the world would soon discover, was a message to the most powerful nation on earth.
The Spirit of God says, I have chosen this man, Donald Trump, for such a time as this.
It's time to embrace our glorious American destiny. Anything we can dream for our country, we can achieve for our country.
America will once again stand hand in hand with Israel, and the two shall be as one.
I want the Israeli people to know that the United States stands with Israel.
The dollar will be the strongest it has ever been in history of the United States and will once again be the currency by which all others are judged.
The economy is booming under this president.
We're up 254 points, 21,000 on the Dow.
They will say things about this man, the enemy, but it will not affect him.
Well, he's kind of a comic book figure. I mean, he's a show-off.
He's a sideshow who threatens to swallow the Republican Party.
He was attacked by other people who were running with him. His poll numbers would go up, theirs would go down, even to the point where they got kicked out of the race.
He would not be the commander-in-chief we need to keep our country safe.
Donald, adults learn not to interrupt you.
Yeah.
We are suspending our campaign.
I am suspending my campaign.
This next election will be a clean sweep for the man that I have chosen.
Donald Trump will never be elected president of the United States.
It still looks like Hillary's the next president.
On Election Day 2016, the world witnessed the impossible when in the final hour, the map turned red.
Donald J. Trump is the president of the United States.
Donald Trump is going to be our president.
Well, my crystal ball's been shattered into atoms here because I predicted the exact opposite of what happened.
But the election of 2016 was only the beginning. Mark Taylor, author of The Trump Prophecies that foretold Donald Trump's unlikely victory and the stock market reaction that would follow, has something new to say about what is coming next. Something that will change the future of America and the world forever.
There's a bigger picture that the church is not seeing right now.
The Trump Prophecies, the astonishing true story of the man who saw tomorrow and what he says is coming next.
Coming to a theater near you, folks. So keep that in mind. Coming to a theater near you. Big movie. I'm thrilled. I'm so excited about.
We don't have any kind of an idea for the date yet, or because I mean it looks pretty interesting.
Real soon.
Okay, all right. Well, just keep your eyes out for it.
When they said it's going to be at the theater down here where we had our premiere.
So, who's premiering it? Or is it just going to be? They're going to hold it.
Yeah.
No, okay. They're going to have it or feature.
They're going to have it there.
Okay.
So excited about that. Okay. So as we left and we're back for the last hour, this is lightning hour. What happened, Carrie? What's fake news doing? NBC News. What are they doing?
So Donald Trump had his rally, and it was in Ohio, the Ohio rally that we all went to. And NBC News posted a short video clip, and in the tweet they said, "Watch President Trump say, quote, Robert E. Lee was a great general, unquote, during Ohio rally, calling the Confederate leader, quote, incredible. So I was like, oh, what are they talking about? I don't remember that. That was posted on the 12th at 8:08 p.m.
8:08
p.m. All right, so 40 hours later, actually 40 hours and 20 minutes later, they wrote, correction! 40 hours later.
Hold on. Correction? And it's the same video. It's the same video.
It's at NBC News.
The same video.
Correction.
Okay.
40 hours and 20 minutes later, an earlier tweet. Earlier. Like way earlier.
Like almost a day and a half ago.
Yes.
Almost 2 days ago.
40 hours of, okay. An earlier tweet misidentified the general President Trump described as, quote, incredible at a Ohio rally. It was General Ulysses S. Grant, not General Robert E. Lee. An attached video clip lacked the full context for the Trump remark. Here is the full clip. Brian actually has queued up on there the full clip, and you'll see why they might have been confused, but why did it take them 40 hours to finally figure out that they totally had it wrong? And kudos to Trump for confusing them.
Oh, boy. But the way he tells us, he tells a yarn. The stories that he tells, you're just riveted, you're holding on, okay, and he's just putting it all, he's a great storyteller.
But he never loses his place. So when he says, he starts to tell a story and he'll use some names, and then he'll cut to his opinion on what he just said, and then he cuts back to the story. He never loses his place. Listen carefully to the grammar and just the sentence structure. Everything is correct. He is saying that General Grant was a great general. He also said that General Lee was a great general too, but he says it for a reason. It's part of the story. It's important to point out the truth about General Lee, which is that he was a great general, because it makes sense with the rest of the story.
So the news outlet is trying to paint Trump as a racist,
of course,
Confederate.
He might as well have a Confederate flag tie. Notice how he's wearing a red tie. You'll see in a second here, folks.
Ohio is the state that gave us a great president who hasn't
He said
been
president.
properly recognized.
President.
Okay? William McKinley has not been properly recognized. What he did in terms of trade, in terms of war, but in terms of trade, and I hate to say it, in terms of being smart and tariffs, William McKinley has not been properly recognized, but maybe someday he will.
Which explains why the leftists...
It also gave you...
Can you press stop real quick?
Come on, I said stop.
Okay. So William McKinley was assassinated thanks to William Randolph Hearst,
who was a news magnate. I mean, literally owned all the newspapers and begged for someone to put a bullet in him.
Yeah, he owned a huge network of newspapers across the nation. He was probably one of the most richest people. He was one of the most richest people alive back then. And he's doing what the left is trying to do today, which is to figure out, if I could just tell everybody that we need to incite violence on the people I don't like, somebody's going to be crazy enough to do it. And turns out some crazy guy back in William McKinley's day took William Randolph Hearst's newspaper, literally, that the actual quote was, somebody should put a bullet in his brain. They're talking about William McKinley. And somebody was like, well, I can do that.
I got a gun with a bullet.
And went into where he was at and did it. And so anyway, so that was William McKinley. But notice how Trump points out that he was a great president. So this, guys, when you hear stories about the things that Democrats are doing and the things that Republicans are doing, which is making America great again, whether it's William McKinley, whether it's Abraham Lincoln, Republicans make America great again. Democrats try to implement very, very oppressive measures to dominate and control people, and it's always been that way. It has never changed. History keeps repeating itself over and over and over again, and don't you ever forget it. But I just want to point that little rant out. It's not really related, but the fact that he pointed that out, I needed to say that. So let's go into where
Here's the video that NBC posted where it started, and then I'll let you know where it ended.
Yeah.
Gave you a general.
Okay, right here's where it started.
Who was incredible.
An incredible
He drank a little bit too much. You know who I'm talking about, right? So Robert E. Lee was a great general.
So that's where they thought. You'd stop it right there for a second. So it sounds like he said an incredible general, he drank too much, and then he just says General Lee, but he's
It's another story. There's a cut. There's a cut.
Yeah. Robert E. Lee did not drink a lot. He didn't have a drinking problem.
Ulysses S. Grant had a massive drinking problem.
So NBC News at NBC News they're sloppy, or they're intentionally liars, which is what I call them because I think they're intentionally lying.
Okay, so
and Abraham Lincoln developed a phobia. He couldn't beat Robert E. Lee.
Mm-hmm.
He was going crazy. I don't know if you know this story. But Robert E. Lee was winning battle after battle after battle. And Abraham Lincoln came home. He said, I can't beat Robert E. Lee. And he had all of these generals. They looked great. They were the top of their class at West Point. They were the greatest people. There's only one problem. They didn't know how the hell to win.
Okay, that's where the video clip stopped for NBC's original clip. Because it sounds like Trump is saying that Robert E. Lee is the greatest.
He's incredible.
And he's putting down Lincoln.
Right.
And he's putting down Lincoln's generals.
For them to cut that out and not really try to figure out what he was really trying to say and just say, you know what? This is all I needed to hear.
Right.
This is all I need to hear.
I'm done.
It's incompetent. It's stupid. And that's being nice. I'm being really nice by saying that you guys are lazy and you're stupid and you're incompetent. That's nice because you know what the alternative is? That you did this intentionally to manipulate the public.
Yes.
And you know what the truth probably is. That they're a bunch of liars. Yeah. They're a bunch of liars. They're trying to manipulate the public by putting out... It's lying by taking out of context.
Right. So check this out. This is the
full context.
And now the rest of the story.
They didn't know how to fight. They didn't know how. And one day, it was looking really bad. And Lincoln just said, you hardly knew his name. And they said, don't take him. He's got a drinking problem. And Lincoln said, I don't care what problem he has. You guys aren't winning. And his name was Grant, General Grant.
Listen to the cheers. Those are Republicans in Ohio.
And he went in and he knocked the hell out of everyone. And you know the story. They said to Lincoln, you can't use him anymore. He's an alcoholic. And Lincoln said, I don't care if he's an alcoholic. Frankly, give me 6 or 7 more just like him. He started to win. Grant really did. He had a serious problem, a serious drinking problem. But man, was he a good general. And he's finally being recognized as a great general. But Lincoln had almost developed a phobia because he was having a hard time with a true great fighter and a great general, Robert E. Lee. But Grant figured it out. And Grant is a great general, and Grant came from right here.
So that's the whole story. That's the story. For them to take that out of context, my goodness.
And my son's middle name is after Ulysses S. Grant.
Yeah, you actually named him after Grant. And, Ulysses S. Grant.
Yep, and my wife gave me the option for the first name, and after he was born, it was a toss-up between Adam and something else, and I said, so I can pick it? She's like, yeah. I said, sorry, it can be Adam? She's like, yeah, sure, if you want. I said, okay, Adam Smith? All right.
So his name's Adam Smith, except it's with a Y. So.
Yeah, a little bit different. That's
I would have named him Adam, but it would have been spelled ATOM.
Oh, you would have.
Because I'm a science guy. I'm a science guy. What are you going to do?
Would your wife let that slide?
No, she's not going to do that.
Right.
Everything's got to be normal with her.
Yeah. Well,
normal. So anyway.
So as we're talking about this fake news, exposing the fake news, folks, that's what we do here on Smyth Radio. If this is the first time you've been on the show, we absolutely welcome. Be a part of Smyth Radio. You and I are Donald Trump's legacy. We will be talking about this for the next 30, 40 years. We will have to teach our children's children. We will be talking about this to our grandchildren. We'll be asking about who the heck Donald J. Trump was, what it was all about.
His presidency is so awesome and going to be considered so awesome that people will be like, you guys were alive when Trump was president? I totally think that's how it's going to go down.
I thought that when I looked up to people who voted for Reagan. You know? I mean, what was it like?
Well, it's interesting that you say that. I didn't know because I was very young. I think I was 5 when he took office. And so I didn't know the context with which he was elected until many, 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 many years later. In fact, just recently with that DVD that I stole from you about Reagan's past,
well,
I still have it.
We didn't know how contentious it really, really was. But when you go back, the GOP establishment hated him. The DNC hated him. I mean, he even used the word fake news.
I would have never known that the Republican establishment did not like him. I would have never known that. So I had to learn from people older than me that lived it, that said, oh, yeah. In fact, this whole Trump thing kind of resembles it a little bit. But the thing, at the end of the day, Reagan was mostly a lifetime politician. And it certainly was not a multi-billion-dollar construction, landowner, renter, businessman, basically in general.
Well, Hollywood,
right.
And, well, he was in Army,
and he knew it. He knew Army, Hollywood.
I think Army. He was in the military. Went into Hollywood, and then became the president of the Film Actors Guild.
Right. True. Is it Film Actors Guild or Screen Actors Guild?
It's Film Actors Guild.
Okay, let me. What is that acronym? Let me look that up real quick. Whoa!
I learned that on Team America. World Police.
Do not look that up. I can't even turn this up.
Film Actors Guild. So he was president of Film Actors Guild, Screen Actors Guild, and then went on to become held a couple of different political positions, and then governor, or.
He was like president. President. Yeah. So,
but he knew how to deal with protesters. Never backed down from anybody.
He knew that because of his experience, but also the fact that he knew Hollywood so well. Oh, he's governor of California for a while.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That was a big one.
Governor.
And so, But you look at Trump, and it really is different because this is somebody that's just like, because of the level of international business that he was doing. Not only did he have to deal with the government probably most of the time, but he was also dealing with international governments outside of the United States. And so it's amazing how he ended up meshing perfectly with the office of the president. He knew how to deal with these people. He knows how to wheel and deal. He already knows how to talk to these people. He's able to read them like the best poker player who ever lived, And so it turns out, I hope that America, the entire population, the electorate, or everybody who votes, learns something from this. That it doesn't take somebody who is a governor of a state or a senator or whatever to be president, that should not be a prerequisite. Can somebody who is an international businessman that is just highly successful at everything that he does, can they do it? But I think that there's more to Trump than that. When you listen to him tell the story about Ulysses S. Grant, you could tell this guy made a conscious effort to crack open the books and really learn about these people.
Well, yeah, but not only that, but he went to military academy. Is that not good?
Yeah, it's really, really, really light. I'm trying to. There we go. Okay. So you did that?
I learned how to manipulate.
Oh, I see. Look, we got really. All right, anyway.
Okay. So Ronald Reagan, up until 1962 is when he changed his political affiliation from Democrat to Republican. Went on, like I said, Screen Actors Guild, then governor, and then straight into the presidency. And he nominated Bush, H. Bush, to be VP, thinking that he could pull the party back together again. And he did that on purpose to unite the party as a big tent party, not realizing
that he was Mr. Deep State.
Not realizing.
He was Mr. Deep State. Now, I don't know about Pence. I don't consider him, like, he's not the former head of the CIA.
Right.
So there's not that. But it seems like he was nominated to placate the Never-Trumpers in the Republican Party.
A little bit.
A little bit. So we'll see what happens. I don't think that Pence is actively undermining him, though. So, there's that. But I think a lot of the people that I talk to are pretty sure that Pence, it'd be pretty surprising if he becomes president in 2024. Pretty surprising. I think Kanye West might have a better shot.
Well, Kanye, actually, in the interview with Trump made the comment that Kanye would be president or make a good president. And Kanye said, only after you. After you make it great, then maybe I could just kind of.
Well, it's interesting that you say that. I was watching a scope from Scott Adams a couple days ago, a week ago or so, and he pointed out that we don't need to find a replacement for Trump that is Trump 2.0. That all we need to do is have somebody to ride out and properly maintain what Trump puts into place for 8 years. And I didn't ever think about that before. And I have to admit, I think Scott Adams might have nailed something that I didn't ever think about. It's like, you got to think about it dynamically. We needed Trump in 2016. We won't need Trump in 2024. What we'll need in 2024 is somebody who can properly maintain what Trump has created. And we'll see how well that goes and see what kind of person we can find. Maybe it is a Mike Pence. Maybe Pence won. Maybe we'll have a President Pence.
I think Pence could maintain it.
Sure.
I absolutely.
Sure. He has to have the courage to say no when he needs to say no, and force a yes if he needs to force a yes.
Right.
In all those different scenarios, like the Kavanaugh thing. For Trump to stand up to the world, basically, who's coming down on Kavanaugh, I should say the entire left coming down on Kavanaugh, for him to say, no, I'm not going to let you get away with that. That took a lot of courage, and it gave Kavanaugh the courage to say, nope, I'm standing my ground. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going to step down. And it was just awesome that he had the loyalty to Kavanaugh to stick with him and to basically stand up against what was a terrible injustice. And I love Breitbart's. Did you see Breitbart's their headline across the top of their website right after he was confirmed was one word: justice, which is so awesome because it had so many different meanings. So justice was done by Justice Kavanaugh.
And I was upset and really bothered with the way that they attacked Scott Pruitt, former EPA Director Scott Pruitt, who was doing an incredible job at draining the EPA swamp, unelected officials making law. They attacked him.
It is toxic waste over there.
Toxic waste.
Drain the toxic waste swamp.
They just railed against him, said all kinds of horrible things about him, kiting money and spending money on lavish vacations and government money and this and that. And, hey, don't forget, folks. Remember all those. All that government money under Barack Obama and the breaking videos that came out and the lavish lifestyles in Vegas.
Yeah, remember the Vegas thing where they were spending hundreds of dollars for all these just crazy stuff. And it was all government.
Thousands.
Well,
on the room, that big heavyset guy that was in the penthouse suite in the jacuzzi.
Yeah. And I think he had champagne in the jacuzzi, and all of this was charged to the room.
Yes.
And when it's charged to the room, it just goes straight to the government. They write a check, the yellow check with the Statue of Liberty on it.
Yeah. And so Scott Pruitt couldn't take it anymore, and he said, I'm out. I'm done. I can't do this. And I was really sad about that because Trump really protected Scott Pruitt, and he was doing a great job. And now this week, little bit of a heartbreaker, but I read into it. I read the whole article. I read the whole letter. The beautiful, the strong, the intelligent Nikki Haley.
Retiring.
Said she's stepping down.
I shouldn't say retiring, stepping down.
Yeah, stepping down, and she'll hold out for the rest of the year until Trump finds a replacement for her. In her letter, And this was like breaking news from fake news media. Breaking news, Trump knew about this for 6 months. Well, okay, hold on to the hysteria, folks. But Nikki Haley, when she accepted the position, she originally told Trump, I'll do it. And I would gratefully do it. But I just want to let you know it's probably going to be about a 2-year thing. And when the time is right, I will be stepping down, but because I believe in rotating and not having people in power forever, that was her letter. And so that be the case. She does have young children, and okay, step aside, but I'm mad. I really am. Couldn't have been a worse time. It was a bad time. Why don't you announce that after the 2018? I feel like it's too much gobbledygook.
She's gonna be there until after December 31st anyway, or until December 31st. So it's kind of like you could have made this announcement at any time. So I don't know. I don't know about the timing, but I remember us having an episode where we talked about Nikki Haley, and I believe we were concerned that she was part of the Never Trump coup.
Well, and
or at least an ally of the coup.
Well, and the news media painted her as someone against Donald Trump.
That's what we all thought.
Which in reality she was not. And the way she handled the UN and the way she handled the America First agenda when it came to world despot, dictator, horrible abuses of human rights, these dictators around the world, the way that she handled those men, those despicable men, was just amazing. She couldn't have done a better job for America First agenda.
Well, and do we have a reason why? Because the reason I ask is because we have a friend who was in the administration, and he just recently left, and we were thinking, gosh, it seems a little premature.
Oh boy, we were hanging out with in
Dayton.
Dayton, yeah.
So we were thinking, gosh, I wonder what this is about. I was concerned that, left on bad terms, he got fired, oh my gosh, what happened? So we get together in the Dayton MAGA meetup, and I said, so you mind telling me, what happened? What happened? If you don't want to talk about it, you don't have to talk about it, but
speculation Haley's husband might have had something to do with it. Well, this kind of goes along with what Kerry's talking about.
Yeah, so he said, "Oh, yeah, you know what? You got to understand, it's taken a huge toll on my family, myself, with my family, because you got to understand, you get to D.C. and it's 93% of residents or voters who live in D.C. voted for whatever Democrat. 93%. So you have 7% of the people that are voting for an R in D.C. So you have to live in that. Talk about a swamp. And so you can imagine that it's just hostility all day long, every day. You're at the threat of being shouted out of any given restaurant. Don't think for a second that if Brian and I go with a MAGA hat on and a makeup, just a whole getup that shows that we're Trump supporters, that we could go to some downtown, any restaurant, anywhere in Cincinnati, and be shouted out by some Antifa group. I would say that we would be hard-pressed to get that happen to us.
Don't think that's not going to happen either. I'm wearing my #WalkAway shirt and my MAGA hat.
But I'm just saying that the odds
it's going to come.
Well, the odds of that happening to us in Cincinnati, I would say is pretty low.
Yeah.
Really low. No. The odds of that happening in D.C., probably
almost
guaranteed. A little bit higher.
Almost guaranteed.
Right. And especially if you're a famous Trump supporter, like a Senator Cruz or whatever, going into a restaurant,
like they didn't
really hard.
Well, they would not recognize our friend's face walking the streets of D.C.
Right, but just the fact that he couldn't really have friends. You couldn't talk to your neighbors. You couldn't have a grill out on your street.
Right.
It'd be very difficult. And he said it just got too much. So I'm thinking with Nikki Haley, anybody who is a Republican who gets asked to serve in D.C. could have an issue with the family just having too much of it.
And so the friend of ours said that he said flat out, my wife told me it's either the job or the family. And he said I had to walk away from it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you can't say. Now, in my case, I'd be like, I'll tell you what. You stay in Cincinnati and I'll just send my check home. I'll pay for rent. I'll pay for my food. I'll just send the rest of the check home. But
so speaking about the swamp and the deep state, this is James Okeefe at his best, and this is this week. Sean Hannity's Open. This is about a minute 57 long. Sean Hannity promoting the new breaking video from James Okeefe. This is Sean Hannity at one of the Trump rallies.
Trump from ever getting elected and then destroy the president after the election. And sadly tonight, we still have people working in our bloated federal bureaucracy, actively working against the president, bragging about it, and are proud of it. We have the proof. James Okeefe, ProjectVeritas.com. They have uncovered these deep state anti-Trump operatives. This is day 3 of their release. They released a new video showing how one employee at the Government Accountability Office, or the GAO, was working on behalf of the Democratic Socialists of America. And they're using their positions. You're paying them to undermine the president and his agenda. It's important to note the GAO is a congressional watchdog group, at least supposedly. They supposedly issue reports on congressional spending. And we haven't verified the undercover video, but we let you watch, you decide. Take a look. It's shocking.
If you're an executive branch agency, you can slow ball things to a degree that it's like ineffective, and maybe you get in trouble, and maybe, you know.
So what he's saying is, and I'm reading it for those of you who can't hear it very well, or those of you who audio only, he's saying out of the Government Accountability Office, if you're in executive branch agency, you can slow ball things to a degree that it's like ineffective, and maybe you get in trouble, or maybe you get fired or resign, whatever, but it's like you slowed them down for a while. Technically, everything I'm doing is DSA, is stuff that I'm not supposed to be doing or work. So, like, what do you mean? It's like explicitly prohibited. It's explicitly prohibited. So, like, if they find out, I could get in trouble, basically. And this is all undercover stuff.
Just saw? Well, the GAO has now earlier today released a statement. That employee you just saw has now been removed from any GAO work. And they're taking this seriously, as they are in the Department of Justice and the State Department. We'll update you, of course, as Okeefe uncovers more and more of these bureaucrats, these saboteurs within the administration, abusing their power and trust that we give them and we pay them. But we end on a good note tonight. Our economy in this country is booming for the 3rd week in a row. Jobless claims.
Yeah, we'll get to jobless claims in a minute, Sean.
Yeah,
you're jumping the gun on me, man.
These people have to realize that, you know, we live in a democratic republic. When I mean the democratic part of it is when we go once every 2 years for elections and select who are going to be the people that are in charge of our republic, or for our certain districts, or the president, or whatever. And these bureaucrats have got to realize that if you're working for a Democrat and he wants to do Democrat policy and all that, you don't just get to make decisions and do work based on your own personal ideology. You're a narcissist if you think that when the people of America choose somebody of the opposite ideology, that you get to say, whoa, 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 I was put here to enact my ideology. Now you're saying that I have to help somebody that I don't agree with anything that he says. I'm going to continue what I did under the guy that, well, if you wanted to continue his legacy, they would have elected Hillary Clinton, and they didn't. But here he is saying, well, I'm going to continue with that legacy by undermining the new duly elected president. And I'm telling you right now, these people need to go to prison.
Speaking about narcissism, what about Peter Strzok?
Oh, gosh. Should I do the wiggle? Should I do the wiggle? What a freak.
So James Okeefe now has a new breaking secrets and lies. Oregon Governor Kate Brown, former campaign manager, details graft and corruption, misuse of public funds, conflicts of interest. The full story at Project Veritas.
Wow.
And President Obama just endorsed Kate Brown for re-election. After all that, an insider from Brown's circle told Project Veritas it's hard to understand why even Obama would do that. The former campaign manager says she's a really awful manager of people, operations, and structures.
Right.
The government side can't direct the campaign side, which is what is happening. Governor's chief of staff alleged to have illegally fired campaign staff, using government funds for campaign expenses. With Governor Brown, it happens all the time.
Wow. And don't forget that hashtag, if you want to check it out on Twitter, is hashtag secrets and lies, all one word. And you'll see some of the stuff that's going on with that Project Veritas hidden video. He's exposing a lot of stuff that should affect the elections. And by the way, for some people that are going, you're going to hear this. I know people listening to us right now that support us and follow us and like us are not going to feel this way, but you're going to run into people that are going to say this, that why is he meddling in the election? Well, folks, when you expose the truth, you're actually helping people to make a proper decision, because the decisions you make in the poll should be based on all available information. And right now, James Okeefe is the only one on the ground who's able to get a lot of these voters real, truthful information and facts based on words coming out of the people's mouths that are important for them to hear. And meanwhile, the mainstream media, which is where the people are getting most of their video or most of their information, are lying by omission. They're going to keep this stuff from these people, and it's going to cause voters to inadvertently vote for the wrong person. So in actuality, James Okeefe is actually helping democracy here.
100%. There's also another one out that he had undercover talking to staffers for a Democrat that said it's in Congress, and the Democrat said, I would absolutely voted for Kavanaugh, but he's in Congress, so it doesn't even matter, right? Because he didn't vote.
I think he's running for Senate, which is who would vote to confirm. I think is it Tennessee? I think it's the Tennessee.
Oh yeah, it's
senator.
against Michelle Blackburn. Yeah, Michelle Blackburn.
So the senator, the challenger, Phil Bredesen.
Phil Bredesen. Yep.
Bredesen. Phil Bredesen
said his staff says he's lying about Kavanaugh vote. It's a political move. We don't say that outside of these walls.
Yeah, so basically he's telling people that are thinking about voting for him. And now keep in mind, this is Tennessee. Tennessee's a pretty red state. I don't think there's Al Gore's from Tennessee, and he didn't even win it in the presidential election.
So that means if you're a Democrat, you got to lie about it in Tennessee.
Right. So he came out and told all these Tennessee people that are usually voting red, they're probably big-time Trump supporters, yeah, I would have totally voted yes for Kavanaugh. Make sure you vote for me because I'm going to vote the way you want me to vote. And then behind closed doors, he's like, suckers. Of course I wouldn't have voted for Kavanaugh, but these dumb voters from Tennessee, these hicks, they don't know nothing. They don't need to know nothing. That's not going to leave these walls. It's going to stay within these walls. And then when I'm elected, I'm going to flip and do what I want to do. I'm telling you, man, this is what Democrats do.
So President came out and said, oh, man, I can't believe you're treating these young kids like this. Somebody who came and sort of opposing as a senior volunteer, all growed up from the other campaign, and basically got these young people to talk in that fashion.
So he's criticizing the undercover video person for coaxing his staffers into saying that.
No, he's saying that staffer is posing as a staffer, but he's really a Republican.
Oh, he's what? So a plant.
He's saying it's a plant
somebody
from the
who
other
came
side.
in sort of posing as a senior volunteer all grown up for the other campaign. But he got the other ones to say it.
Right.
So the plant got the other one. Yeah, that's how you infiltrate it. You infiltrate it by coming in as a staffer and you undercover videotape them, but you're not telling them what to say. And by the way, they're not giving their opinion about their own self. They're giving
about their boss.
Yeah, they're saying no, he wouldn't have voted for him. He would not have voted for Kavanaugh. So, yeah.
Michelle Blackburn out of Tennessee, folks. Michelle Blackburn, follow her on Twitter. Absolutely, just a very awesome. She's one of those women. I almost said girl. She's one of those women.
A girl.
She's a girl.
She might actually like that. I don't know.
flip the script. Arnold Schwarzenegger apologized this week for saying girly man.
He apologized for, look, girly man. That's his icon. That's like saying, that's like apologizing for saying, I'll be back.
Right. So Michelle Blackburn, a beautiful, strong, intelligent, conservative woman for Trump. All that is so dangerous to the Democrats. That is so dangerous for an extremely intelligent, very articulate and clean woman, beautiful, and Trump supporter. Mm-hmm. Oh, that spells danger to the Democrats.
Right.
How do you combat that?
Well, hopefully they can't, and we end up with a gigantic red wave. And that'll be it. I think that, guys, this needs to happen. I'm going to tell you right now, if we don't get out there and vote, and you need to do not just go out and say vote and say, I did it. You need to call your friends. And if you have a friend that you think might just be placating you and say, yeah, I'll get out there and vote. But you're not sure. You might be thinking that you need to drive to their house and get them. And take them to their polling place and make sure that they vote.
It's easier this time around. Multiple reasons. It's easier this time around because you're targeting people that voted Trump. Finally came out and said, yep, I pulled the lever for Trump. The people that voted, don't talk to Democrats. Do not talk to Democrats and try and switch somebody. Trump's doing that. Mm-hmm. Trump's got that covered.
Okay.
And don't expose them to their friends either. Let them vote undercover until they can build up their confidence and come out. Let them, you and your goal is to target Trump supporters that have never voted in the primary or maybe might not be voting now because it's not important. It is most critical now.
Yeah.
So here's the reasons why. One, Trump's economy. Mm-hmm. That's going to get people out now to be more confident and speak out and say, okay, I'm down.
Well, let me play devil's advocate. Yeah, but Brian, Trump isn't running until 2020. What do I need to go there for?
Because Trump's agenda of making America great again and America first will cease to exist. It will be over. No more winning. And when I say that, I'm not saying that in conjecture. This is for real. The Democrats have already said, first and foremost, we're stopping everything that he's doing. He will not get anything through ever again if they know how to stall. They know stall tactics. Mm-hmm. They will stall everything. Nothing will get through. There will not be another Supreme Court justice.
Yeah, let me give you a real-world example. The only reason we got Kavanaugh is because we do have a majority in Senate. We will not. If Ruth Bader Gingrich steps down or somehow vacates her position and the Senate has been taken over by a majority Democrats, it will not be filled for 2 years. It will not.
No.
There's no way it will not happen.
No, I don't care how much wielding power, executive power. I don't care about any of that. They will not. Look how hard they stuck their heels in the ground on Kavanaugh. That was just despicable.
And it was for no reason. I think it was a huge error on their part to use so much political capital because they really couldn't stop it. I guess they were going for the Flakes and the Collins, and they were hoping that they could drag them over to their side. But they jumped the shark. They had the Avenatti talking about gang rapes and everything.
Well, they had to say some kind of train. They had to do this. In my personal opinion, they had to do this in their eyes for a win before the 2018 election.
Gosh.
If they got a win, got a W, because folks. It's been, what was that tweet that was tweeted out? 702 days of losing.
Oh, yeah, that was funny.
702 days of straight losing by the Hillary Clinton campaign.
Didn't it have the NPC face?
What does NPC stand for?
Non-playable character. So the gamers are we switching gears right now? Because this does need to be talked about. So it turns out all the gamers, we are totally switching gears here.
Well, we're involved in a group that's promoting our show, and we're promoting them, the new right Network.
Yeah. Oh, they're gamers.
I had no idea.
Why do you think they're on Discord? Discord is the gamer social media.
All right, folks, I am so sorry, and I'm so sorry that I'm late to the game on this, but y'all are trying to pull me into new apps. I got these apps on my phone. I don't know how to use these things.
That's because you're not a gamer, and I'm not either, but I understand where they're coming from. And so everybody listening right now that are New Right Network fans that are watching us from there, we're not gamers, but I at least understand the culture and all that. You know, I'm an N64 guy.
Okay.
From the 90s. I mean, that's the way it is.
I'm an Atari.
Oh, wow. Wow. The old Nintendo. So anyway, Discord gained its popularity because that's where all the gamers were. And the meme wars started out of that.
Okay.
So you got meme wars and stuff going on. In fact, New Right Network is heavily engaged in that kind of stuff. So we have a lot of friends that are involved in doing meme war stuff, which is great because why? Because we dominate.
Yes!
We dominate meme wars. So apparently this there's I don't know what game it is or if it's multiple games or whatever, but apparently there's a character in the game that's not playable, and it's called an NPC, and it has a face, which you've seen the face, and the face is doesn't have an expression. Basically, it's just the mouth is straight across, the eyes are just two dots, and the skin is gray. So there's nothing to it. It's literally a non-playable character. It's a bot, okay? An NPC is a bot, and it doesn't do anything. You could, I mean, just about any. So the idea is that Democrats have no personality. They have no ideas. And by the way, they only do what they're told to do. So a lot of these memes include code. Have you seen the memes with the code?
No.
Some of them include code, and if you read the code, you don't even have to be a programmer because it uses words that are mostly English.
Yeah.
And you could read the code and see what it's programmed to do. So you got some of the non-playable characters.
So the NPCs are consulting the one NPC. And what they did...
Consoling.
Yeah. And they put the Hillary symbol on the one that's being consoled. And then the rest of them were other symbols.
Yeah. And the meme, it's very far-reaching. And some of my friends and some of my groups on Twitter are going nuts with this meme, and they're having a lot of fun with it. I think it's hilarious. Once you know what it means and all that, it's actually hilarious to see what people are doing with it. And somebody wanted to do a meme. There's a picture of Donald Trump and Kanye West. It's actually making fun of people largely based on free thinking. Because if you're non-playable characters don't think. They're literally bots. So calling Democrats non-playable characters NPCs is a insult to their intellect, to their free will, their ability to make decisions on their own.
But there's truth to it. There's
that's what makes it so funny. Oh, it's so funny.
Level of truth always has to be there for a great joke.
They're having there's been, oh my gosh, there's a meme. I'm sorry, you guys, I can't show you this, but the Connors.
With the rose. Yeah. I think if you showed it up.
I don't. Yeah. So there's a meme. I don't know if you. No, it's too far away. So there's a poster that's promoting the new Roseanne show without Roseanne, and it's called The Connors, not Roseanne. And they replaced every single face on the promotional poster with an NPC. So it's a lot of fun.
I don't know why I'm getting all these bodybuilders.
So apparently, NPC. I don't know what that's all about. So apparently, NPC also means something else because Brian's getting a lot of bodybuilders.
Oh, that's unfortunate. Okay. Well,
yeah. So anyway, so a lot of these people who do the photoshopping will go through and replace the faces of these people with the NPC. Oh, you need to put NPC meme probably is what you need to do.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a very, very popular meme at this point, so hilarious. So anyway, yeah, so you're a bot if you're an NPC. So you make sure you do it right. I saw one person put an NPC over his own face?
No.
No.
You wouldn't do that.
You're not an NPC.
Well,
You're a Trump supporter.
You're
a free thinker.
Yeah, you don't want to be an NPC.
So one of the memes that somebody wanted to do, I haven't seen it yet, so it's probably being constructed. Spoiler alert, I'll just describe it for you. There's a picture of the Oval Office with Trump behind the desk, and you have Kanye West, and then all the dozens of reporters with their boom microphones and everything.
That's the NPC.
So what they wanted to do, and I haven't seen it yet, but somebody put that picture and said, hey, can you replace every single one of the faces except for Kanye and except for Trump? Every other face in this entire picture make an NPC, and that would have been a lot of fun.
That's hysterical.
There's also a meme that shows MSNBC, and they replaced it with MSNPC.
Oh, that's good.
and you know how NBC has the peacock feathers? That's their symbol,
right?
At the big rounded part of every single feather, they put the NPC. So there's a lot of fun memes out there. But anyway, so that's the. I don't even know. It's so new. You can't even search these. No,
it told me it says you've got the wrong one. Uh-oh. Right-wing internet gets hip to NPC memes.
Okay, so I'm glad you brought that up. I almost forgot this. So the left has done a counterattack against NPC meme, and their counterattack, this is it right here. You could actually read that if you want. Their counterattack is that the right is trying to dehumanize the left by making everybody look like an NPC on the left. It dehumanizes them, and of course. You know what that means.
Right.
That means you're going to throw them all in ovens because we're all Nazis.
Yeah, when we're dehuman, you're no longer human.
Right.
You know what you guys did to Alex Jones?
That was unpersonal.
That was unpersonal.
But yeah, that's the counterattack that the left is trying. They're saying, oh, look at these alt-right Nazis. They're dehumanizing us on the left.
Yeah, it says right-wing circles online have become increasingly obsessed with NPC memes, which they're utilized to compare their critics to non-playable characters in video games. The comparison, they hope, serves to ascribe a degree of intellectual apathy.
True.
To and dehumanize.
Well, you know, they dehumanize themselves.
Those who do not hold their own far-right beliefs.
No, it's not about beliefs. It's about free thinking. If you get into a debate with somebody else and you point out all these facts that support your ideas, and their facts either aren't real facts or they resort to ad hominem attacks, which is name-calling, or if they don't have facts at all, they just tell you that something is right and true because it makes them feel good.
Right.
They've lost the debate, and if they can't see it your way, they're programmed. They're a non-playable character.
See, this is what you get here on Smyth Radio, folks. You don't ever need to watch any news. Maybe watch Mark Dice for entertainment. That's a good one. Dice. PJW is still out putting out videos. Tucker Carlson's a good one. I like to watch him. But come here. Sunday night, you need to watch one time a week.
You'll get everything you need right here.
You'll get hit with the kids, all the little the hipsters and little kids, what the youth is doing nowadays. I'm getting myself educated right now.
Now you know what NPC means.
So good. I didn't realize we were in tight with the gamers.
Yes.
I'm actually excited because I really liked what they did.
Well, and
during the campaign.
Yeah, and the thing about the New Right Network is, sure, they have the gaming background, but we talked to them on the phone, and my gosh, these guys are really good. They're the things that they're for, that they like, and the things they want to avoid and not do in order to make this movement a continued success and permanent. This movement can go on into the future. These guys have got it. The New Right Network has got it. So that's why when they asked if Smyth Radio could be, what do they call it, syndicated with them, I was like, yeah, that'd be great. Whatever we could do to help.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
So, and then real quick, we're getting to the end of the show, but this is Rod Rosenstein. I promised I'd get about that. I've scoped about this a little bit. Rod Rosenstein, if you haven't heard the story behind it, I apologize. This is the most abridged part of it. Rod Rosenstein, circuit court judge, aspired to control all the laws in the land, becoming attorney general, which would give him all the power and all the money. If you control the laws, you don't need to be an elected official or have people elect you like president, politicians. I'll just rise through the ranks of the law enforcement and own the law. How do you do that? You get blackmail and dirt on everybody.
That's a J. Edgar Hoover blueprint, right?
Right. Get dirt on everybody, all the judges, Circuit Court 3 judges, which there's 120 that are they're appointed for life. Get dirt on them, their kids, their families, everything.
Yeah.
Control, money, all kinds of stuff, dark, deep state stuff.
And my theory is that they go beyond finding dirt for people to get blackmailed with, and that they create the blackmail dirt. They create it.
Right, I'd agree with that. Espionage and also selling of intelligence, government stuff to foreign governments, able to change classifications, secret, top secret, unclassified, so that they can get it and sell it. Big money, big racket. They were almost exposed, or they thought they were being exposed by Seth Rich. Come to find out, Seth Rich was trying to expose Hillary Clinton, not them. He was in a game way above his head. They killed him. That was it. Done with that. Rod Rosenstein still rising through the ranks. Rod Rosenstein tied in with the Mueller, the Comey, the McCabe, all of these things. And now he was the one who's the last person to sign off on the FISA renewal on Donald Trump for the Russiagate ordeal, which you would think that he would have to recuse himself as Deputy Attorney General.
You would think,
right? And unbelievable. And in the memos or the FISA warrant that Donald Trump said, "Yep, release it all, unredacted, release it all." Well, Rod Rosenstein, the dirty little weasel that he is, he rounded up a couple of the usual suspects, went straight to Donald Trump's office and convinced Trump. Convinced him. Send it through the IG first. You get it through the IG, and then we'll get it cleared, and it'll be good to go. This damn thing is sitting with the Attorney General. They're sitting with the IG. It's stopped. It is stopped. It is stunted. Is no more. Is on freeze, on hold. And Rod Rosenstein reports were saying that he was going to quit. Resign from his post. Didn't resign from his post. Donald Trump kept him in there. Had a plane ride with him. Donald Trump is playing him to be the fall guy, to be the fool, to be the to expose him. Justice. Donald Trump is seeing that he cannot serve justice on Hillary Clinton. He cannot serve justice on Comey, McCabe, Strzok, Page, all these deep staters. But he's now seeing, okay, this is how we play the game. Rod Rosenstein, justice is going to be served on you, and this is how we're going to do it. 4D chess, folks. Wait and see. My personal opinion is Rod Rosenstein is going to take the biggest fall. He was supposed to testify to Congress. He was supposed to release memos and notes. Now refusing to release all the notes. Now refusing to talk to Congress under
And by
oath.
the way, the only person who can make him do it is Donald Trump. And now that he knows that Donald Trump is going to wait until after the midterm elections to fire him, or at least, I mean, if he does, if he fires him, he's going to wait till after the midterms. He could just tell Congress to go F themselves.
Well, for the most part. And now we've got Devin Nunes and some of the other folks. I believe Meadows is involved. They are going to subpoena him. I mean, I guess you can go to jail for not abiding by a subpoena.
Well, I mean,
or hold on. If you don't do the subpoena, then they can have you
held in contempt.
But
at the end of the day, Trump will have to order something to get him. There's a reason why there's such separation in powers, but in a normal functioning government, it would work out in the end. When you have Congress, largely the majority of Congress supporting the chief executive, which is Donald Trump, in the executive branch, and he's the one that's supposed to be able to deal with this, and right now he can't until after the midterms. It buys Rod Rosenstein time.
Right. Well, supposedly he's already given his resignation in, and he's trying to walk out. He's trying to get out. He is trying to weasel out of his position.
He's trying to save his hide.
Because he is absolutely protecting the entire coup.
He's the last line of defense.
He is after Rod Rosenstein, that line of defense, maybe Christopher Wray, but Rosenstein holds all the chips and all the dirt on all these people, and this is the end of the line. And again, like I said,
do you think the Democrats might be forced to Seth Rich him at the end of the day in order to save themselves?
Well, here's the thing: we're out of time.
Yeah, we got 3 minutes.
Jim Jordan tweeted out, former FBI lawyer, plot to remove Trump is not a joke. Rod Rosenstein said he was going to wear a wire, and we're going to invoke the 25th Amendment on Donald Trump. That's a fact. He said it for real to
the 25th Amendment. The 25th Amendment was designed to deal with a situation where the president has a massive stroke, completely incapacitated, and the wife ends up hiding it from the rest of the country so that she ends up being the de facto president. That literally happened to America.
FDR. So real quick, wrapping this all up, I promised you the prayer from the pastor Brunson that was released from Turkey. Here it is. Oh.
Gotta get some volume.
We gotta get some.
We would like to pray for you. We pray for you often.
Thank you.
As a family, my wife and I pray for you.
Thank you. Well, I need it probably more than anybody in this room.
When they left because it's
that
real.
Would be very nice. Thank you.
Could we pray for you?
Yes, thank you very much.
Okay. Noreen, would you?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So you can. I'll just do it from here.
How about that? Lord God, I ask that you pour out your Holy Spirit on President Trump, that you give him supernatural wisdom to accomplish all the plans you have for this country and for him. I ask that you give him wisdom on how to lead this country into righteousness. I ask that you give him perseverance and endurance and courage to stand for truth. I ask that you protect him from slander, from enemies, from those who would undermine. I ask that you make him a great blessing to this country. Fill him with your wisdom and strength and perseverance, and we bless him. May he be a great blessing to our country. In Jesus' name, we bless you. Amen.
And I just want to pray that the Spirit of the Lord would rest on the President, the Spirit of wisdom and understanding, the Spirit of counsel and might, the Spirit of knowledge and fear of the Lord. Amen.
Thank you very much.
Folks, everything's riding on this. Everything is riding on this. It's no joke anymore, folks. They are out to get all of us. Set that Ford truck on fire. When was the last time you heard about a car being set on fire in America? Yeah, car set on fire because it had Trump stickers on it. This is evil versus good, and rest assured that that our safety is because this is God's plan. Pray every night for safety for Trump. Pray for America. We've got to keep doing that. And understand, don't get angry. Don't get upset. Don't get frustrated. Don't get scared. Let that go. That's the evil stuff. Stay happy and rest your strength in the Lord. He's got this. Oh, with that being said, I think we're at the end of it.
Thanks for watching, guys.
Yes, Fast 3 hours are going to spend anywhere. Folks, share this with your friends and your family all over the place. Let them know about Smyth Radio, Military Veteran Talk Radio. See you in D.C. in 2 weeks.
Gosh, it's only 2 weeks away.
It's only 2 weeks away. Goodness. And check out our scopes throughout the week. Stay with us, and we'll be back next Sunday.
Yep. Don't forget patreon.com/Smyth Radio and share on Facebook.
With unfathomable power.
What kind of power?
Unfathomable. It's without fathom.